Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 118. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Felsing, and joining me tonight, Ben Boyce, Frankie Ailor, Bender Holt. Guys, we were off last week. We're back. It's our E3 preview. We have a stacked show. We have a ton of news. We have our E3 predictions, and we also managed to get God of War and Twisted Metal creator David Jaffe for an interview. So we'll have that later in the show. So we got a lot to talk about. We got E3, we got Jaffe. It's fantastic. But first, before we get to the news, we have to talk about something here. Frankie Ailor, last night, went out and proposed to his girlfriend. And she said, sure, why not?
Exactly. Exact quote.
Dude, I'm so happy for you and Bender. It's been a long time
Frankie.
coming.
Woo!
Let me see the ring, Bender.
It's a Destiny ghost. It's custom. It'll be arriving next week.
Frankie, how's it feel, man? You are engaged, sir.
Yes, it's awesome. It was really nerve-wracking. It turns out. So
Always is.
yeah, like I'm sitting here like stalling as long as possible. Like I don't know, dude, my heart was racing. It was great. You know, she of course said yes.
Yes.
After saying "Oh my God" 1,000 times, she started tearing up. It was great. So, yeah. So we're, like I've mentioned before, we're looking at houses. So once we get that, we'll start, making wedding plans. So it's exciting. Exciting times. Very busy. I'm here. I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm here. So.
Hey, well, obviously you picked the right one. I mean, you just proposed the other night, and you were like, "Hey, look, I'm doing a podcast Saturday." And she's like, "All right, go ahead, honey." That's a win-win, dude.
Yeah, she's like, "You earned it." So,
seriously, man, congratulations. That's awesome. I'm glad you're happy and you found a good woman. She is obviously a saint if she's been sticking around for you. So, congrats to her as well. And it's awesome, man. We're real happy for you.
thank you.
Congrats, Franklin.
Thanks.
So now that leaves Bender. Bender's the eligible bachelor. He's the last man standing. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Hey, man, you're not committed to anyone. You can just do whatever you want. Seriously, I envy you. No, man, it's just take your time, dude. Eventually, you'll find the one. But you seriously are the last man standing at the Short Pause offices. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
You can do whatever he wants.
It matches me with my real life friends too.
Man. I think I was one of the last ones to get married. All my friends. I was basically in your shoes for a while. Everyone else was getting married. I'm like, no way. Nope. I got married. So
That's what I was telling Jen. I was like, I don't have any friends, so I have to invite my Short Pause guys and hope they come.
Oh, I'll be there. I'll be there.
It's like I don't know who else I would invite. Like
Ohio's not that far.
No, it's not that far at
Jamie.
all.
Obviously, I told JD he has to come. So Jen likes JD a lot too. So
Dude, Brent, road trip, man.
Oh, hey, I'm in. I'm there, dude. And seriously, I apologize in advance to whoever I offend because I'm just gonna get loaded. So sorry. It's weddings and it gets rowdy. Gets a little rowdy at weddings. So
perfect.
But congratulations, dude. Boys, we have a release list, but we're gonna get through this because we got a lot to talk about, buddy. So take it away.
That's right. Let's hop into it, and we'll whip through this a little bit faster than we normally do because, like you said, we got a big show ahead of us here. So let's start with the PlayStation Plus lineup for this month. Unveiled, and it's a mighty fine lineup. Killing Floor 2 and Life is Strange, the complete first season, are in tow for the PS4. On the PS3, you're going to get Abyss Odyssey and WRC5, which is a World Rally Championship, the long-running rally series. And then on the Vita, you're going to get Neon Chrome and Spy Chameleon. Both games are cross-buy with the PS4, so you'll also have them on there. So if you're doing the math, that's 4 games for your PS4, 2 for your PS3, 2 for your Vita. Brent, your thoughts on this lineup?
Strong. Really like Killing Floor 2. That was a lot of fun. I actually have the Life is Strange collector, or the limited edition that came out. So I already have that. But a Neon Chrome is awesome, by the way. So
Yeah, I remember you streaming that game.
Yeah.
Is that the one from 10 Tons?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That game is really, really good. That's a really good game. So that's something worth checking out. I don't know much about Spy Chameleon. I'm not a WRC guy, but overall, this is a strong lineup.
Yeah, definitely. Frankie, what do you think about this lineup, man? It's got one of your faves in there.
Yeah, this is a great lineup. I'm actually kind of happy because now maybe I can get rid of my disc copy of Killing Floor 2. So yeah, yeah, no, it's a great lineup. I'm happy more people are going to get to experience Life is Strange. That is probably one of my favorite games so far this generation. The story is great. Of course, if you get into it, we have a spoiler cast that Bender and I recorded a while ago. So if you end up liking it, want to go dig it up and listen to us discuss the game, that's somewhere on the SoundCloud and iTunes Short Pause catalog. So seek that out.
Dude, solid shameless plug there. That was nicely done. Yeah, and I think it's funny that you're going through this like midlife physical disc crisis.
Yeah.
I wonder how long this is gonna last.
It's I don't know, man. I'm already kind of like, I keep staring at that stupid Shadow Warrior 2 thing. Like, I have Shadow Warrior. I mean, the number 2 would look nice next to it. No. I'll wait until it's like $10 digitally. But
oh yeah, dude, you're starting to break already.
It's horrible.
It won't be long.
Dude, it's like Friday limited runs putting Broken Age out, and I'm gonna have to get that because I like Broken Age.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't need it. Like I have it. Like it's horrible. It's horrible.
Well, we will monitor your situation closely, and we'll report back to the listeners. Bender, your thoughts on this lineup?
It's a great lineup, solid all around. I definitely concur with Frankie about Life is Strange. If you have not played that game, go out and play it as soon as you download it from PlayStation Plus. If you like games with great stories and great characters and time manipulation mechanics and a game that's going to make you feel feelings, that's the game for you. It's really, really good.
Ooh, feel feelings.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always down to feel some feelings. Yeah, no, I'm with you guys. Good lineup. Killing Floor 2. This is like a $40-$50 game, isn't it? That they're
40.
That they're throwing
Yeah.
in. Yeah. So that's a nice bonus. I actually never picked that one up when it came out. So awesome that's in this lineup. Neon Chrome. Looking forward to playing that. Spy Chameleon I think looks rad. So yeah, all around solid lineup for the PlayStation Plus lineup. These games will be available starting this Tuesday. Now let's get into the PS4 releases for this week, and we'll start things off with Wipeout, the Omega Collection. Speaking of good deals, $39.99 for this nets you basically the whole Wipeout collection in dynamic 4K, as they say in the ads here. So I don't have a lot of experience with the Wipeout series. I've dabbled with it here and there, but but this looks like an awesome collection, and for that price, it's going to be hard to pass it up, especially when you get it on like Amazon Prime or the Gamers Club. You can get it 20% off. I mean, it's like a $32 game for the whole entire saga. So really, really good collection here. Frankie, you're a Wipeout fan, aren't you? You got this one. You got this one on the radar, don't you?
I got this one pre-ordered digitally, so I think the preload supposedly goes live tomorrow night.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna have that downloaded. If I get a
You
chance,
get a theme with that too?
I think so. I honestly
dynamic
didn't
theme?
look because I downloaded, like, I went through on my phone and did a bunch of pre-orders. So I think there's a theme for that and Pyre. I gotta look, but I'm pretty sure there is.
Cool. Bender, you like F-Zero and those kind of games? You have any interest in Wipeout?
Yeah, definitely. I remember playing like the original Wipeout a little bit here and there.
Like PS1 Wipeout?
I think I played that one.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the original one or one of the other ones, but I have definitely played Wipeout before, and it's a pretty cool game. Yeah, I like that. I like those games a lot.
Yeah, definitely. So really nice collection coming out this Tuesday. I'm gonna have to pick that up myself. Not sure when I'll get to play it, but yeah, definitely want to scope this one out. Another big title this week: The Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind, coming both digitally and retail. Now you can get this game one of two ways. You can purchase it as a kind of a separate thing which has the entire Elder Scrolls Online saga, or you can purchase it as like a DLC expansion for those of you that already own the Elder Scrolls Online. So Brent, you're our resident Elder Scrolls guy. Morrowind gonna be able to pull you back in, you think?
I'm gonna pick it up. Yeah, I never played Morrowind when it came out back in the day. The old Elder Scrolls game. So I'm curious to see what this world's all about. So yeah, I'll definitely pick this up. Not sure when I'll get to it, but I've got just about every expansion for Elder Scrolls. And it's nice to be able to like just jump into Elder Scrolls and not have to worry about like a subscription. You know, I always do with Elder Scrolls. I always do it in like these little bursts of time where I'll play it for like a good week and a half, play through, run around, do some missions and whatnot, and then I'll set it aside and get into something else. So it's nice not to have to worry about a subscription on that.
Yeah. Have you fired up ESO lately? At all?
I'm due for a burst here pretty soon.
Due for a burst?
Yep.
Morrowind it sounds like a sizable bit of content. They've mentioned over 30 hours of additional like missions and content they're adding on with Morrowind. I believe this is like the entire Morrowind continent that they had from the previous game. It's going to be in here. There's some new PvP modes. The trailer for this game is really cool. The story looks pretty epic. So yeah, this looks like a nice little package for ESL fans. And like you mentioned, that's the really nice carrot on the end of the stick for this game, is not having that subscription and being able to just go back to it at any time. And with the one Tamriel update they did last year, you can now, as a new player, hop right into the Morrowind content and play with a seasoned veteran of the game, and you can go through that content together with everybody. So I like that. I think that's going to bode well for this game, and I expect this expansion to do very well. So Morrowind, get back into ESO starting this Tuesday. Another big title this week is Dirt 4, the latest in the long-running rally series. Frankie, you're a fan of the Dirt series, aren't you?
Loosely.
This is, from the Codemasters guys. They long lineage with these kind of games, going all the way back to the Colin McRae games on the PS1, which were lauded for their kind of rally racing. They also have Evolution Studios folded in with them as well. I'm not sure if any of those guys are working on this game, but the best of the best like rally racing dudes are here at this studio, and this is the 5th or 6th Dirt game now, and they've all been received really, really well. This game looks really good. Is this one you're planning to pick up at all?
At some point, yeah. Just because I'm thinking I'm going to pass on Need for Speed this year, so if I'm going to pick up a racing game this year, this is the one I'm eyeing. So probably Black Friday time. They typically go on sale around then. So
yeah, I think that's a safe bet for that. So Dirt 4 will be out this Tuesday, both digitally and at retail. Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series, getting its 2nd episode, Under Pressure. So hopefully this one is able to keep up the release schedule. But this one's cool, and that's going to delve into the past of Rocket Raccoon a little bit. So I'm actually really curious to see how this one works out, because he has a dark past. There's some things that have happened that have made him the character who he is today, so it'll be interesting to see how they explore that in this game. Perception is a Wednesday release. I tell you, Brent, this was a this was a promising looking title until it started getting reviews. This game's just been getting the shaft, man. I mean, it has not reviewed well. Sounds like the ambition may have outstretched the reach of the developer on this one. But this is the horror title where you play a blind woman who I don't know the exact storyline behind it, but you're a blind character going through this game, and they try to use mechanics that play off of that, and it doesn't sound like it turned out the best, so might be buyer beware on that one. Victor Vran is hitting PS4 this week. This is the game we'll probably fire up on the Indie Spotlight.
yes.
So I've admired this game from afar on the PC for a little while. It's like an action RPG, Diablo-esque kind of game. Looks like a lot of fun. It's been pretty well received. So has a Castlevania type of feel to it as well in terms of the world and kind of the aesthetic. So that always pushes the right buttons for me.
Is there co-op in that?
Looks like a game that should have co-op.
Right.
let's put it that way.
Have you seen the contents of the Overkill edition?
No, there's an Overkill edition at retail. What does it include?
So there's 2 expansions for this game. I don't know what one of them is, but one of them is centered around Motorhead.
The Motorhead one.
Yeah. Like, oh my god, I'm thinking about just buying the base game and the Motorhead DLC, because I think you could do them separately and it'll be cheaper than just buying the disc. But yes, it is co-op, online and local.
Online and local.
How much is it on Xbox right now?
It's $20 for the game, and then I think $11.99 for each expansion.
Yeah. So, Brent, maybe I'll rope you in for that one. Yeah, Victor Vran looks pretty rad. For $20, I will pop in there and see if I can test this one out for the spotlight. Another rad looking title, The Town of Light. And this is a game that explores some heavy stuff here. It explores real life mental illness. It's actually based around true stories, with some of the events that it tackles in the game. So it looks to be I want to read this little blurb from the beginning of the game here. Quote, "The Town of Light is inspired by real places, facts, and extensive research into mental illness and the lives of patients in asylums from the early 1900s to their closure. The game contains stories that may cause discomfort, so it is heavily recommended that this game be experienced by adults only. Characters and names are purely are a pure work of fiction and are used for narrative purposes. Whilst this game uses an artistic interpretation of former psychiatric institutions for dramatization purposes, we would like to acknowledge the tremendous effort and advancements in mental health services around the world. If you feel affected by any of the issues portrayed, we strongly advise you to seek help from your health professional." End quote.
Wow.
So, so some heady themes are going to be explored here. You actually play as this girl, Renee, as a 16-year-old girl suffering from mental illness. So it's going to be this kind of psychological thriller that explores, if you hear about any of this stuff or you read about like mental asylums from this time period, from the early 1900s, there's some disturbing things that go on. So I expect this to be a very very complex game, very interesting sounding title. I know it's been well received on the PC, so that's one I've got my eye on as well. Also coming this week, Randall, very cool looking side scroller game, awesome art style. That's one I definitely want to check out as well. Super Beat Sonic is coming over to the PS4 this week. It's a game that's already been on the Vita, kind of rhythm beat matching type of a game. Sounds like it's got a pretty rad soundtrack. Cladden Returns. This is Sengoku, is the latest in this dungeon crawling series. Dark Rose Valkyrie is a RPG from Compile Hearts, the prolific developer for Idea Factory. Jump Stars is a curve joint, a local multiplayer. I believe there's online in this too, maybe not. But you kind of are contestants at this deranged game show. You've got to figure out how to get through the different games that they put you through. Neighbor Horde is a multiplayer shooter game. Doesn't look the greatest. Rogue Stormers is a game that we actually played, Brent, that I actually thought was pretty fun. It's coming to retail. It's coming to retail this Friday. If you're so inclined, get on Amazon and pick that up. Then Ghost Recon Wildlands, the Fallen Ghost DLC, will now be available to non-season pass holders. So get out there and grab that if you're so inclined. On the PSVR side of things, a game I'm actually really interested to play, Special Delivery, looks like a VR take on the old Paperboy games, which I loved. In particular, Paperboy 2 on the Super Nintendo. Spent a lot of hours with that game. This looks exactly like a VR version of that game. So I really want to play this. Just for a brief second here, I want to acknowledge that Sony has officially ended production on the PS3 in Japan, which was the last territory that it needed to end production in. It has ended production all around the world. So 11 years on, the PS3 has reached the end of its life. And I just want to take a second here to kind of retire it off the new release list. And I just want to acknowledge that I really think the PS3 is a special system. It has an incredible library. When all is said and done, it's one of my favorite systems of all time now. It's a system I have. I don't know. I must have 900 games for this thing between what I have on the hard drive and what I have on my shelf in there. And it personally introduced me to things like digital games and indie games and trophies were first displayed on the PS3. So I didn't have an Xbox 360 at the time, so I didn't get into the achievements and all that. But when I got the PS3 and then I experienced all this stuff for the first time, it kind of set up the future of gaming for myself. So some of my all-time favorite games are on there. The Naughty Dog output on PS3 is incredible. Between the Uncharted games and The Last of Us, there's a ton of great role-playing games, action games, just you name it. It's a fantastic system, and I just just wanted to send my shouts out to the PS3 because it's one of my all-time faves. Brent, you got anything you want to say about the PS3? Maybe a favorite game of yours?
Just all the franchises that I was introduced to. The Resistance games, Infamous, Uncharted. I mean, there were so many franchises that I was introduced to on that from a first-party perspective. And no, it was a fantastic system. I mean, it had a rough start, but it showed it had some legs, and it had the first-party content to make it a worthy system to own. So no, big props for the PS3, man. It made a hell of a run.
Yeah, it was in an interesting position too because it started behind the 8 ball with the $599 US, that whole thing, and it kind of set up the PS3 to be the success that it was. Though it made Sony kind of think outside the box, and it made them really like buckle down on their first party production. There's a ton of great exclusive games on the PS3, and so in the end, I think it turned out to be a blessing in disguise, and it really made the system into the great system that it ended up being. Frankie, any quick words on the PS3?
No, much like yourself. When I got back into gaming, I was on 360 until that thing crapped out of me, and then it wasn't until that happened, because really up until then I was only playing Left 4 Dead and only vaguely kind of chasing achievements for like Ghostbusters and Batman. But eventually I picked up a PS3, and like I got through like Ratchet and Clank: A Crack in Time, which I think is one of the best Ratchet and Clank games ever made. Which really made me like completely fall back in love with that series. Of course, you have the collection on there as well, so if you want to go back and play the 3 PS2 games, you have trophies for those now, which is wonderful.
Tools of Destruction is an excellent game as well.
Yeah, I've also heard Into the Nexus is also excellent, so that's one I still have to play. But even just going through like all the stuff I still want to play, like the Dead Space trilogy, the Mass Effect trilogy, like there's a ton of stuff I have on there. All this DLC, all these trophies I still want to get, and it was a great time. I love that system. It's great. But like Brent said, especially like for me personally, like coming out of the PS3, like my absolute favorite franchise born on there was Infamous. I love those games. Obviously the Cole games are on there, and I think like Infamous 2 is again like top 3 like PS2 games. Like Infamous 2 and Uncharted 2 can go back and forth depending on the day of the week as like my favorite game, but I love the Infamous games. That kind of really reignited my love for Sucker Punch, and of course, bringing back Sly Cooper and whatnot. So it's a great system. Love it.
I concur. Bender, any parting words for the PS3 here?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. I also love the Infamous games. Those are some of my favorites. Infamous 1 and 2 are great. Little Big Planet, another great franchise. Little Big 1 and 2 are awesome. I love those games as well. Portal 2, one of my favorite games of all time, was on PS3. That's where I first played it. Uncharted games, obviously, the Batman Arkham games. There's had a ton of great titles on that game.
Yeah.
I mean, some were exclusive, some weren't, but lots of really, really cool games on the PS3. And I didn't buy one at launch. I bought one later on after it had been, discounted and stuff. But it was. I really enjoyed it. I still have mine. Still play it from time to time. So it's a great system.
Yeah, the PS3 is one of those things, like I can't imagine like unhooking that thing right now. Just the amount of games I have loaded on it, the amount of stuff I have for it, like that's one that's going to be under my TV for a long time to come. So we bid you adieu, PS3. Good night, sweet prince. Let's move on with this list. All right, Vita, Plague Road on the drop this week. They have Plague Road listed for the Vita, but not for the PS4. I know it's in development for both of them. I'm kind of shocked that it's coming to the Vita first, so I'm wondering if this is also going to be on PS4 this week, but this is kind of a cool-looking RPG-style game. Clad Returns, this is Sengoku, is on the Vita this week, and Farming Simulator 18 making an appearance on there. On the Xbox One, The Culling is available now. Frankie, you're a big fan of this game. Why don't you tell us about The Culling?
No, don't f***ing buy it. I tried this game out earlier, and I understand that it's in game preview, and this is me being an idiot, not learning from We Happy Few, but...
Wait, another horrible game preview story? What's
I know, right?
There?
It's just I'm f***ing done with these things, so I'm trying to figure out if it's possible to do the refund thing, because I was told that there's refunds. I don't want this game. Like, I think it's really clunky. I'm hoping that at some point it won't, but it looks like absolute shit. like I don't know if it's water or something on the ground, but it's like just like I can't tell if there's like you're looking through the ground and the clouds, like it just looks like garbage. So yeah, I messed around with that thing for probably about 20 minutes. It's just the combat's just it's so clunky, it's horrible. And if that's what that game is centered around, like they have a long way to go.
That was quite the ringing endorsement. So everybody rush out and get the Culling in-game preview right now. Frankie can't recommend it anymore. All right, the rest of the Xbox One releases, of course, Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind will be on there. Dirt 4, the Guardians of the Galaxy Episode 2 will be on there. The Town of Light, Neighborhood, those are all Tuesday releases. On Wednesday, Perception, Super Beat Sonic, Zazen, which is like a meditation game, Refunked, will all be out on Wednesday. And then on Friday, A Whole New World, which is the game we talked about last week. I think that game looks awesome. Really cool looking Castlevania style, like side-scrolling game that when you jump in the pit, there's like a mirror world on the other side. I think the game looks rad. Jump Stars is a Friday release, and then Kolot, the horror survival game from a few months back, making its way over to the Xbox One. On the retail side of things, Rogue Stormers will be available over there on Friday as well. And then, of course, the Ghost Recon Wildlands Fallen Ghost DLC is available on Tuesday for non-season pass holders as well. One more thing we want to note this Tuesday, the Rise of the Horde update arriving for Gears of War 4, which will add some new skills and whatnot to the Horde mode. There's some new difficulties they're adding to the game as well. So if you've made it through Gears of War 4 and are looking for an increased challenge, check out that update. Let's move into Nintendo now. What we missed last week with the Switch, Arcade Archives Neo Geo Last Resort is on the eShop now for $8 alongside Astro Duel Deluxe. A spaceship shooter is on there for $14.99. This week, Goner, very cool looking side-scrolling action game, is going to be on the platform for $10. What we missed last week on the Wii U,
And
Koki, excuse me. Also, Shantae, Half Genie Hero, coming over to the Switch this week.
Yay.
$10, $15, something around there for that game.
probably 15-20.
15, 20, yeah. Cool game, though. Endorsed by the entire Short Pause staff. So go out and check that game out if you're a fan of side-scrolling action games. All right, let's get into the Wii U stuff now. What we missed last week, Koki the game, which you'd have to be on Koki if you're playing this game. It's on the eShop now for $5.99. Sphere Slice is on the eShop for $1.49, and Swap Blocks on the eShop for $5. This week, good luck. On the 3DS, what we missed last week, Of Mice and Sand is on there for $7.99, and Fire Emblem Echoes, getting its latest DLC pack, the Rise of the Deliverance, is on there for $12.99. So if you are shelling out an inordinate amount of money for Fire Emblem DLC, hop on that. This week for the 3DS, Farming Simulator 18 will be on there, alongside Anime Workshop, an $8 title.
Can we give a shout out to Tekken 7?
We sure can. Came out yesterday as we're recording this.
Yeah. So that game is really cool. I have it on both Xbox and PS4. So I was messing with the Xbox version earlier because I heard 4.7 was bricking some PS4s, so I was kind of nervous to install it. So I haven't touched my PS4 until this morning. But yeah, dude, Tekken 7's awesome. Got in there, got online, won my first match. So I'm probably just gonna leave Short Pause and pursue my professional career as a Tekken 7, pro. So
Damn.
look for me at Evo this year, probably
Nice.
main stage.
Main
holding up
stage,
the
top 8,
championship.
grand
Yeah, man,
finals.
just number one.
Dude's getting married, changing professions. Boy, new Frankie Ailor. Hey, like I said, I told Frankie earlier, he can do that, but when he wins the championship, we get the exclusive interview. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. You guys can touch the belt.
I have my copy of Tekken 7 here, too. Looking forward to playing it sometime soon. But game reviewing extremely well. I mean, many calling it the best Tekken in a series of great fighting games. So that's awesome. Yeah, sounds like the game's incredible.
So enough of that. Enough of the fighting game news. Let's jump into the big news of the week. First up, Middle Earth: Shadow of War has been delayed. It will now release worldwide on October 10th. A different release date will be announced for certain territories, including Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. According to a post by Monolith, Middle of Earth: Shadow of War expands gameplay in every dimension, including the massive open world, the story, the RPG systems, and personal player stories of the Nemesis system. As with Middle of Earth: Shadow of Mordor, Monolith is committed to delivering the highest quality experience. In order to do this, we have made the difficult decision to move our launch date to ensure that Middle-earth Shadow of War will deliver on that promise. So, Frankie, you had and boys, both you guys had right there in the summer, a couple of weeks prior to Destiny. Now it's in after Destiny 2. What's up with this, man? Frankie, how are you feeling about this, man? I know this got to suck for you, dude.
Yeah, so let me walk with me on this adventure for a second. So
okay.
Let's pretend that you have to schedule your vacations in December.
No. Mm-hmm.
Okay? So let's pretend that you just pick this random week at the end of August. Nothing in particular, no reason. And then the sequel to one of your favorite games so far this generation is announced and dated for the week after that. Or the week before that, rather. Mm-hmm. So you're thinking to yourself, I'm on vacation. One of my now most anticipated games of the year is going to be out. Well, my vacation's sorted. Now, go ahead and imagine that game getting delayed.
Oh.
Not only that, but now I have another vacation the week before that. So Destiny 2 is going to be out. South Park's going to be out the week after that. Battle Chasers is coming out the week before that. So now I'm sitting here surrounded by all these awesome games in October that I want to play after Destiny 2 is out. Why you do this to me? Like, this sucks. I mean, it's great. All these games coming out I'm really excited about, but now it's just this. It's literally just back to back to back to back of games that I really want to play. And it's getting into the busy time of the year. So
I'm sorry, Franklin. Now, boys, you reviewed the Shadow of Mordor and you loved it. And you have limited time as it is. You've got 2 kids, you're married. And now you've got the game that you've been really anticipating, the game you've been really excited to play, dropping in after Destiny 2, a game that you already know you're going to spend most of your fall and winter playing. Are you even going to have time to play this game, dude?
Doesn't look like it, honestly. It's probably going to be one of those things where I'm going to dedicate my free time to Destiny 2, and I'm really going to be okay with that. So the games that come out after Destiny 2, unfortunately, are going to get the short shrift. I'm hoping that maybe by the time November rolls around, I can spend some time with Battlefront, or maybe take a weekend off and play through Call of Duty World War II. I think that would be like a nice palate cleanser. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, like once Destiny 2 comes out, like I want to go like full bore on that. And yeah, it's unfortunate that now Middle-earth Shadow of War is coming out after that, which is, like you said, dude, Shadow of Mordor is an incredible game. I absolutely love that title. And I love what I've seen of Shadow of War. Can't wait to get my hands on it. But it's as we expected. Like the fall is starting to shape up now. Like we're starting to get release dates. We're starting to get games that are filling in these slots, and it's just gonna be in there with a whole bunch of other games. Now Shadow of War, granted, will take precedence over any other title that comes out around it. But yeah, dude, Destiny 2 is the elephant in the room, and it just depends on like how much we get into that game. Like if we're playing this religiously and we're doing raids now and all that kind of stuff, I'm just not gonna have time for Shadow of War. So it's unfortunate.
It's a really good palate cleanser? Infamous Second Son.
Or Final Fantasy 15.
Well, yeah, either of those are pretty good.
That's an investment. Infamous Second Son, you could do over a weekend. I'm telling you.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, seriously, boys, will you play that game, please? Like this fall or winter, just seriously take a weekend off and just sit down and play your most anticipated game of 2014 already.
Hey, as soon as you play through your best game of 2014, then we can talk about it.
Touché.
Yeah, so we'll spend the weekend playing Dragon Age Inquisition and Infamous Second Son. We'll fight back some of these demons that have been haunting us for the last 3 years.
Good Lord. I cannot wait for next gen to start already. Bender, now I don't know, I remember you saying you had a passing interest in Shadow of War. Now that it's dropping in after Destiny 2, I mean, where's your interest at now?
It's not going to be super likely that I'll be playing it anytime soon. Because
Bender's got South Park.
He's got South Park.
That's true. That's that too. Yeah.
That's a tough spot to go for Shadow War, man. But
Mm-hmm.
it'll still sell, and I'm sure it'll still be a very, very good game. It's just with limited time in Destiny 2, I'm not going to be jumping into a Shadow War anytime soon. So
It's gonna be tough around the Short Pause offices to fit Shadow of War in a post Destiny 2 world, unfortunately.
indeed.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into some Nintendo news. First up, the Nintendo Switch Online service has been delayed until 2018.
Brent, can we confirm that this is the first official delay of an online service? Is this just one of those things? Hey, 2017, like let's delay online service now.
I have no idea, dude. I don't know what Nintendo's doing. All I do know is this: the service still will become available later this summer. It will be free up until its official launch sometime next year. We also got some more information about this service. First up, we got the pricing, which is doable. 1 month is $3.99. 3 months is $7.99. If you want it for the whole year, it's $20. So that's something I can totally get behind. I don't mind the price, especially considering they made some changes to the monthly game plan. Now, initially, boys, what was it? If you every month you got to choose a game, and then once the month was over, that game was no longer available, but you could buy it again and continue from where you saved.
Yeah, I believe that was what they were doing. It was a like an NES game that you could hang on to for a month. Then they would take that back, and you'd have to buy it if you wanted to continue playing it.
Well, now the Nintendo Switch Online subscribers will have an ongoing access to a library of classic games with added online play. Users can play as many of the games as they want and as often as they like, as long as they have an active subscription. So that's something we were hoping for. Bender, I know that's something you really were hoping for, and I know you were very excited. What's your thoughts on that change to the plan?
Yeah, I'm so glad they wisened up on that, because that would have been, I don't know, that would have been so dumb to have this plan where you only get a game for a month and then they switch it out for something else or whatever, and you can't play it anymore. This is going to be way better. I mean, I will gladly pay $20 a year, which is a great price, by the way. That's totally fair for me. But yeah, I will gladly pay that price to be able to play these, classic games and just, play them as much as I want and everything. I think that's really cool. And if they have like a growing catalog that they keep adding more games to it, to the mix, then yeah, that would be awesome. I think that's a really great plan.
Right. Frankie, what's your thoughts on the pricing and the change to that plan?
No, I agree with Bender. I think the price is perfect. It's actually lower than what we were all expecting, which is not that's rare in of itself. But the fact that it sounds like this catalog is going to be growing over time, it sounds like even if you wait and you subscribe to this later, you're not going to be missing any games from what I'm understanding of this. Of course, I could be totally mistaken, but it sounds like if you have this growing catalog of games, you subscribe later on, all those games that you would have missed, like if you're looking at PlayStation Plus or games with gold,
right?
If you miss that month, you're out of luck. Those games are gone. You're not getting them. So it seems like with this, that's the solution to that problem. It's cheaper, and I mean, you're getting access to like classic Nintendo games that chances are I probably wouldn't have bought and played otherwise. So I'm actually looking forward to this because I up until like the N64, I have very little experience with like a lot of those classic Nintendo franchises, and if I have access to them just right there, like, hey, I guess I'm gonna play Super Mario Brothers 3 this weekend. So that's cool. That's really cool.
I agree. I definitely like the change to the plan. I like the pricing a lot. I think the pricing is fair considering how we're going to have to use our cell phones for online lobbies. We'll talk about the plethora of wires we're going to have to use in order to use the online chat. But, boys, there was one thing they did not mention during this update to the online services, and it's becoming a growing concern with just a week left before E3. What's missing from this whole thing, boys?
The virtual console is
Yes.
is where we are, where there's some confusion right now, because from what I understand, Brent, the classic game selection that's part of their online service is separate from the virtual console. These are two separate conversations we're having here, and I'm excited for the classic game selection as well. Like Bender said, this is a much better plan than what they rolled out previously. It also sounds like at some point we may get Super Nintendo games on here as well, which is which is what I'm really excited about. Super Nintendo, my all-time favorite system. So the NES games are awesome, but to get Super Nintendo games at some point, that's what I'm looking forward to. But yeah, the big question now is the Virtual Console and what becomes of this, and what about the GameCube Virtual Console games that we've been hearing about, and they've got to have some type of a plan for some of these other systems outside of the NES, SNES games, right?
You would hope so, but a Nintendo rep, talking with Famitsu, according to the rep, they said the company's schedule for selling Virtual Console games is still undecided. So, I mean, are we even going to hear about this at E3, dude?
I don't know, man. I'm a little confused here. Like, I don't know, like, why the online service is delayed. Like, I'm not sure what they're waiting for on that. I'm not sure why they don't understand what to do with the Virtual Console when this is literally something that everybody's, like, hanging on the edge of their seat to find out about. So I'm not sure why they don't have plans in place for this. I guess it just lends more credence to the idea that this system maybe launched a little bit ahead of when it was supposed to. To get it out there with Zelda. Maybe they didn't have all their ducks in a row with some of this other stuff that really fleshes out the system. But yeah, I really don't have any answers as to why this stuff is not in order right now. I mean, this is, like I said, dude, this is 2017 going into 2018. Like, for your system to not have its online, like, service together, or to not have the Virtual Console together, which is something you've been working on since the Wii. Like, to not understand how this operates now is a little concerning. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's really strange, and I know this is something that people are really hoping to hear from. Bender, are we going to hear anything about this at E3, man? I mean, what's your take on this? Are you concerned?
I guess a little bit, but I don't know. I hope what I wish they would do is just say okay, we're going to take all the Virtual Console games, and that's going to be the subscription service. The game selects the thing is going to be replacing the Virtual Console completely. So I just want them to have all the Virtual Console games that they've released, and just make them all available to play, via the subscription service. I think that'd be ideal. It's probably not what they're going to do, but I think that'd be really cool. So, but I don't know. It's I hope they say something soon so we can know what to expect. But I guess we'll have to just wait.
Yeah, I don't know, Frankie. What do you think, dude? What's your thoughts on this?
The only thing that I could think of for why they might delay it and still not want to talk about it is maybe they are actually exploring, how to link your previous purchases. Because I know, like, between the Wii and the Wii U, like, there was no... If you bought Super Mario Brothers on the Wii, you had to buy it again on the Wii U, and they're probably looking at ways so that when they bring it to the Switch, maybe they are actually listening to people. Maybe they want to be able to, like, hey, we hear you. This is the groundwork we have to do so that, when this goes live, you can download Super Mario Brothers on your Switch without buying it again. That's the only thing I could think of. Like, why else would you delay the service unless you're actively, like, really trying to look at how to actually make this stuff work?
Interesting. Well, up next, this is where it got really cool this week. Nintendo revealed the Splatoon official chat headset. I'm going to pull up a picture here so you guys and girls can see this thing. The headset itself doesn't look too bad. It doesn't look too bad. But in order to get this, you're going to have a wire going from your phone, a wire going from your Switch into a splitter, which then runs from the splitter to your headset. I just can't imagine how this is going to look for people who are on the go. If you're sitting on a bus, you're gonna or if you're sitting in an airport, or you're gonna have all these wires out. I mean, Bender, I want to hit you up first. What's your thought on? And this is from Hori, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the Hori official branded Hori headset. Bender, what's your thoughts on this, man?
It's weird. It's I don't know what else. And Frankie brought up another good point, I think, on Twitter, is like, what are we going to do when we're playing with the Switch docked? I mean, it looks like it's a setup that's meant to be played in handheld mode, but what if you're playing at home? Which, by the way, that's where your internet is right. At home. So you're not going to want to be forced to play in handheld mode if you're playing Splatoon 2 at home. So I don't know what their plan is with that. We don't know how long these wires are going to be for this splitter thing, and I guess I don't know. I guess you could use your own wires, buy some extra long wires to go to everything, but it's weird. It's clunky, and I just wish they would let us use like wireless headsets and stuff, and just connect directly to the Switch. But I guess that's not to be.
Frankie, where are you at on this thing? This whole concoction?
I mean, first of all, like the style of it, like the headphones that I typically have on are these behind the ear ones.
Right.
So I actually really like the style of it personally, but like I mentioned on Twitter, like if I'm at home, like I've literally used the Switch on the go maybe twice, and that's just been like taking it to work to play on my lunch break. So, I'm not, like I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, should I even bother? Like, are they just gonna like, well, you could just hear it on your TV, it'll be fine? Is that their solution to that? I mean, I don't know, but I mean, to be fair though, like I could only really see myself playing Mario Kart 8 right now because I'm not buying Splatoon 2. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's an odd choice. It's a very odd choice.
Mm-hmm. Boyce, where do you stand on this thing, man?
I'm gonna stand with Reggie on this, and I'm gonna read Reggie's quote. Quote. This is from FFVII himself. Instead of having some sort of bulky gamer headset, you'll be able to do it right off your smartphone, put in your earbuds that you use for your standard mobile device. We think that's a pretty sweet solution. That's part of the overall opportunity that we see in a subscription service. End quote. So how's that working out, Reggie? How's that bulky gamer headset thing going? Not only have you just completely screwed the pooch on this, but you've got a bulky gamer headset with a bulky thing with wires coming all out of it that you somehow gotta figure out how to hook up to your phone, and it's bizarre.
Where are you gonna put that thing if you're just casually like sitting somewhere? Are you just gonna like set this splitter on the table, have all these cords running everywhere? Is that really that ideal?
I guess that's what they're thinking. Yeah, it's really strange that. Yeah, I mean, there's not really any words for it. I mean, I find it very hard to believe that they couldn't have come up with a better solution for this thing. I mean, like you guys said, like wireless headphones, something. Put a transmitter, plug it into your Switch, something. Bluetooth, something. Like you gotta have a better option than this. And you guys already mentioned we don't even know what you're gonna do when you're hooking up to your TV. It's gonna have to be something through the app on the phone, I would assume. But it's really bizarre. And it's just one of those things where I just don't get it.
I love how the Vita costs half the price of a Switch and is 6 years old, and I can sit there and just plug my Apple headphones into the Vita and talk to you guys when I play online and join a party right there through the Vita. On the Switch, I have to have all that. Seriously, what the hell is going on? What did we go backwards? What I mean,
yeah, welcome to 2008, bro.
Dude, the Switch itself is such a nice system. Why do I have to have all this? Man.
I'm just glad I don't play online that often, so I don't know how much I really care.
It's annoying.
But at some point you're going to want to play online. At some point you're going to want to play Smash Brothers against other people. You're going to want to play Mario Kart against other people. The people that are buying Splatoon and ARMS, like they're going to want to play against other people. And this is just not a good solution for this.
Well, we'll see what happens. But yeah, this is we don't have a price on this thing yet. We don't have a release date on it, do we? I don't believe so.
I would guess that this would release with Splatoon, the headset at least, and then I'm guessing that they have to have this app out by the time Splatoon is out.
That's July 21st when that comes out, so I'm assuming that'll be when they release the free version of this online service. So that's probably a good idea, a pretty good idea of when that's going to come out. So
I mean, they may even want to get it out by the time ARMS is out. I would anticipate that they expect that to be a competitive game that people want to play against other people online. So I don't know, but yeah, at least buy Splatoon 2. Like this is clear they're marketing this around that game. So
right.
At least by then they got to have this ready.
Well, I know what I'm getting Brent for his birthday.
Man, make sure you get the receipt. All right. Let's move it along here. Up next, Monster Hunter XX has been announced for the Nintendo Switch. This is an expanded version of Monster Hunter Generations that was originally announced for the Nintendo 3DS. Generations was released in the West in July 2016, some 8 months after its Japanese launch. Capcom has not yet announced a release date for Monster Hunter XX on 3DS or Switch. It also hasn't confirmed that they will be available outside of Japan. Historically, however, Monster Hunter games are localized and made available in other territories. They just take a little extra time to come out. Bender, I know you've dabbled with little Monster Hunter on the 3DS. We both have. What's your thoughts on this possibly coming to the Switch over here in the West?
It's a pretty cool prospect. I don't know if I would buy it because I didn't really get into Monster Hunter. I thought it was cool, but it just didn't really grab me. The mechanics are very dense, and then there's like all kinds of things that the game doesn't teach you, and you just have to kind of figure things out. So I don't know. It's cool that it's coming, but I just don't know if it's something that I'll really want to jump into again.
Frankie, would you jump into some Monster Hunter on the Switch?
Absolutely. This is a game that because it's on the 3DS and because like my time for handhelds is very limited, it's one of those things that if I'm playing at home, I want to play it on the TV. Like you're fighting these giant monsters, like I want that on my TV, you know. So
right,
yeah, absolutely. If this is coming west on the Switch, I'm gonna pick it up.
I would definitely be most inclined to pick it up as well, simply because playing the Monster Hunter on the 3DS with Bender, I was just like, man, I wish I was like you. I wish this was on a bigger screen. I'll be able to sit there and play with the Pro Controller, sit down on the couch, and really spend some time with that way. It's hard to play a Monster Hunter game because you want to play it for so long because it can be a lengthy game. There's a lot of time, and I just didn't like playing on the 3DS for long periods of time, so being able to play with the Pro Controller on a big screen is definitely much more appealing than playing on the 3DS. Boyce, I would ask you your thoughts. You haven't played your Switch in a month, so, any interest in Monster Hunter or no?
I do have an interest in the Monster Hunter franchise. It's always a franchise I've been curious about. And this, Monster Hunter's still trying to catch on here in the West. It's still a niche title over here, but for the Japanese audience who still loves Monster Hunter, this is a huge boon for the Switch, even though it's a remake of a 3DS game. For all intents and purposes, but this is still going to draw a lot of people to the handheld over in that territory. But if this does make it over to the West, it's something I'd be interested in checking out. I don't know that I would play it on the TV though. I haven't played a lot of the Switch on the TV lately. It's been more of just it's been next to the bed or something. I'll fire up some Mario Kart or something. But I think it's a great game to have on there though, and I would be interested in checking it out.
Cool. A couple tidbits about Monster Hunter XX is, first up, the Switch version will support internet crossplay with the 3DS version, as well as 1080p resolution support and 4-player local and online play. Players will be able to transfer their save data back and forth between the 3DS and Switch versions of Monster Hunter XX. Those who wish to transfer their Monster Hunter Generations data can do so to the Switch version of Monster Hunter XX, but not the other way around. That's still pretty cool, though, that there'll be cross-play. So if there's a big audience on 3DS and there's a big audience on the still growing Switch, you could possibly have quite a busy community on there.
Interesting.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys all get it, then I'll probably get it too.
Twist your arm.
4-player co-op. It sounds pretty fun.
I would say right now the Short Pause offices was about 50-50, but I'm pretty sure whenever it launches here, it'll be 100% and we'll be streaming it. So. Up next, a new RPG is coming to Nintendo Switch, Indivisible. The side-scrolling action RPG from Skullgirls developer Lab Zero Games is making its way onto Nintendo Switch. This has already been announced for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, but bringing Indivisible to Switch was a quote-unquote an easy decision, according to Lab Zero Games CEO Peter Bartholomew. Platformers and RPGs are great, says Peter, on the couch or on the go, making our game a great fit for the Switch. So that sounds pretty sweet, boys. What's your thoughts on Indivisible here, man?
Yeah, definitely. It looks pretty rad. Skullgirls is an awesome looking game. It's got a very cool art style, and Indivisible has brought that over as well into this game. So yeah, this seems like a great fit for the Switch, and I'm totally on board with this. I want to see what this is all about, man. Bender,
any interest in this?
Sure. Yeah, I like a good RPG, and I also like the Skullgirls art style. I've seen that game before, so yeah, sounds like a pretty cool thing that I might want to play.
Franklin?
I'm in.
Cool. Indivisible hit its crowdfunding goal at the end of 2015, reaching 1.6 million and making it the highest grossing gaming project on Indiegogo at the time.
I don't even remember this game.
I don't either.
I don't remember hearing about this.
I feel like I should have if it made 1.6 million, if it raised that much money. Good Lord.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
And this was out of nowhere, but certain Switch owners will receive Shaq Fu 2 for free. Yes, Shaq Fu 2 is a thing, and if you buy NBA Playgrounds before they release the online patch for that game on the Switch, you'll be entitled to a copy of Shaq Fu 2 for free. This is sort of like an apology, a makeup for how long it's taken for the developer to bring online play to the Switch. It still has not been patched into the Switch yet, so everyone's still waiting for that. So for those of you that have been waiting, if you pick up NBA Playgrounds before the patch, you'll get a copy of Shaq Fu 2.
Did you say apology?
Yeah.
So their apology to you is giving you Shaq Fu 2.
I was going to say, what's the apology for them giving you Shaq Fu
2? That's a good-looking question. I'll send that email over to him and get the response.
I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you've never played the original Shaq Fu?
I just saw the scores, and that's all I needed.
Shaq Fu, man, what an incredible video game.
That's a word for it, all right?
That was an amazing game. That's just one of those things where you're just like, wow, how does this exist?
Dude, there was a website dedicated to destroying every copy of that game.
Oh, my. Did anybody play it? Did any of you guys play it? Like, actually fire it up and play it?
I played it, yeah.
Yep.
Was it
I
like
had it,
just
on the
an
Genesis.
abomination?
Yep.
It's a terrible game, man.
It's a f***ing piece of shit. It's one of those things that when they announce a sequel, I don't know who the f*** was like, yeah, Shaq Fu's coming back. There's nobody out there. That's why they're giving it to you for free.
Wow.
It's really weird that there's a Shaq Fu 2, and it's even weirder that they're just giving it away for free on the Switch
As an apology.
as an apology. That's rich.
Can I just get the online portion of NBA Playgrounds and we'll call it square? I mean, that'll be it. In fact, just give me the code for Shaq Fu 2. Let me decide if I want to download it. Just send me the code for it. Ugh, barf. And the last bit of Nintendo news, Attack on Titan has been announced for 3DS. According to Spike Chunsoft's teaser site, the game is a follow-up to Attack on Titan Humanity in Chains and will launch in Japan later this year. Attack on Titan's Humanity in Chains is an action RPG that released for 3DS in North America in 2015. The game puts players in the roles of characters from the popular Attack on Titan anime and manga series and sports a single-player story mode as well as a local and online multiplayer. So, any of you guys have any interest in Attack on Titan? Boys, I know you're a bit of a fan.
Yeah, I've seen some of the anime. I've got to finish watching it. I know Taz has been trying to get me to watch it for years now, and I just keep failing on this. But yeah, it's actually a really cool series, and the Attack on Titan video game on PS4 looks pretty sweet. I actually want to pick that up, and this looks pretty cool as well. So if you have a 3DS, you're a fan of the series, definitely keep your eyes on this one.
Franklin, any interest in this for the 3D? Oh, you don't even have a 3DS, so what does it
Well, I
matter?
will at some point. I'm thinking about
You
getting
will?
one of those new 2DS XLs. Well, yeah, I got to play Kirby. I got a bunch of games I want to play. So
Oh, okay. Better check with the wife first. Bender, any interest in Attack on Titans?
Yeah, it's. I've heard it's a really good anime, and I've been meaning to check it out, but I haven't played any of the games either. So, yeah, it's something I'll have to look into pretty soon.
Awesome. That sounds good. And that's it for the Nintendo section. So, Bender, you can take a nap. Let's jump over to Far Cry. I'm just kidding, buddy. All right, up next, we got some Ubisoft news. First, Far Cry 5 is officially revealed, and it takes place in rural Montana. Boy, this game sparked up a lot of opinions on Twitter and other social media. networks. Creative director Dan Hay tells it as Far Cry 5 is equal parts isolation and community, adventure and resistance. It's a game that is as much about finding common cause with like-minded people on a dangerous frontier as it is about exploration and explosions. This is what Hay had to say about the game. He goes, you go out into a world and you meet people for the first time. You don't know them. Maybe they don't trust you. But if you can strike a deal with them, if you can have a conversation with them and make part of it what it is you're building, then you can join their resistance. It's definitely about chaos, and there's a lot of that in this. But it's also about building a beautiful world, and that's the thing we want to introduce you to. We went to Montana. We fell in love with it. It's stunning. Boys, what is your take from the Far Cry 5 reveal?
I can't wait for this game.
Mm-hmm.
I think this game looks awesome. It's the perfect subject matter to tackle right now, where we are in this world, in particular in this country right now. So my fear with this game is that it's not going to have a deft hand in tackling this subject matter. It's going to explore theoretically, it's going to explore some heavy themes, some very tough themes, and I just hope that the writers and Ubisoft is up to the task for this game. Like I don't want a ham-fisted, heavy-handed, or just poor take on this subject matter. Like if this is what they're going to tackle, I want them to get in here and do this right, because this has the potential to be an incredible game and an incredible look at an aspect of our country and culture as it stands right now. So if they're able to tackle this properly, like this could be a really, really good game. And if they're able to fit it into the Far Cry formula, even better. So I'm really, really curious to see how this game turns out. But I love this direction. I can't wait to see where they go from here. I just hope they have the chops to pull this off.
Right. Frankie, I know you spent some time with a lot of the Far Cry games. What's your thoughts on this take for Far Cry 5? I mean, like Boyce mentioned, it's going to touch on a lot of themes that are hot topics right now in this country specifically. What's your take on the Far Cry 5 reveal and what they're going to be exploring this time around?
I'm very excited about the game, obviously. I think it's coming out at a great time, too. End of February is a really, really good spot for this game, in my opinion. As far as it goes, like I'm hoping that, they do well with the story. But even if they don't, like for me, the Far Cry games have always been that thing to fall back on for just some dumb fun, some explosions, just a good time just messing around in the game's world. So worst case scenario, the story absolutely falls flat and ends up being kind of convoluted, but there's still fun to be had somewhere. So like in my opinion, like regardless, like either the story is going to be great and the gameplay is going to continue to be what it is, or the story falls flat but the gameplay is still going to be very serviceable. So I mean, either way, for me, I'm excited because I know I'm going to have a good time with the game. So it'll be interesting though. I'm going to be really curious to see like how deep they're willing to go with the story.
Yeah, the Far Cry franchise isn't afraid to tackle some heavy themes and some of the stuff that's relevant at the time the game comes out. So very cool to see them taking this approach. Like Boy says, I hope they don't make it just some kind of caricature of everything that's going on. Let's focus on some seeing how they handle the story is going to be very important to me. I'm definitely going to pick it up. I think it looks rad. I think it looks really, really good. Bender, any interest in Far Cry 5, man?
I don't know enough about this series. I've never played any of them. Never really even watched any gameplay of them or anything. So I'm not sure what they entail. Frankie's shaking his head.
It's not a Bender game.
Probably not a Bender game. I just figured because you're from Montana that maybe you'd want to explore a virtual Montana and see if there's any comparisons, see how accurate it is. So.
Brent, Frankie brought up something interesting there that I want to ask you about. So he mentioned that if the story doesn't pan out, like if the gameplay is okay, like that could be okay. And like where we stand right now with this particular game, I'm not sure that that's gonna hold up for Far Cry 5. I feel like just for us in our particular situation, like we live in this country, we see what's going on here. Maybe it's a little bit different when Far Cry tackles some of these other locations that it's been in, but I don't know. It's like for this one, it's tackling some themes that are gonna hit home for us here. And I know personally, if they don't tackle that properly, or if they don't put together a story and a narrative that is I don't know what the word that really handles the subject matter, I'm not sure that the gameplay is going to save it in that respect. I'm curious what you feel about what he said.
Well, with the way they presented the trailer, the way they presented the characters, I mean, I think they've kind of set the bar kind of high for themselves. Obviously, when it comes down to it, this is a game that we want to enjoy playing and want to have a lot of fun with. I've had a lot of fun with all the Far Cry games. I think they all play very good. The setup, the mechanics are all sound. The mission structures, the outposts, all the different things you can do in these games, exploring the world, finding secrets and whatnot. But I think with the way they presented the trailer, I think they have kind of set the bar high, saying, "Hey, look, this is stuff that a lot of people can relate to. A lot of things that people are familiar with. There's a lot of comparisons between our society now and what this game is. So I think they've kind of set the bar high, where people are kind of expecting a story that's going to hit home, that's going to deliver a lot of hits, a lot of punches, and if they don't deliver, I think that will be kind of a disappointment from a story perspective. But if it's still, in the end, if it's still fun to play, I think people will be able to overlook it. I'm kind of curious to see how this story plays out because of how they presented the trailer. I'm kind of hoping that, if this story doesn't deliver what I'm hoping it is, I would consider it somewhat of a disappointment from a narrative perspective, yes.
I was gonna say the only thing, like, for me is, like, I, having played several of the Far Cry games now, and the stories have never been that great. Like, I can't bring myself to have high expectations that suddenly the 5th iteration in, like, they're just gonna deliver this killer story. So
that's what I'm curious about, because I've never played through a Far Cry game to completion or got into any of the stories at all. So I don't know, like, what their history is, if they've ever been able to deliver, like, a compelling story or whatnot. So
I think their strong suit, and Frankie, you might agree, I think their strong suit lately has been the characters, not so much the story. They make some memorable characters that stand out. Obviously that's what I would say for the Far Cry games like 3 and 4. The characters are more memorable than the story itself.
Yeah. They have done a very great job of kind of building villains that I shouldn't say when you actually, like, get to confront them, but, like, because a lot of the times, like, once that you, like, get to, like, in Far Cry 4, when you finally confront Peg and Min, like, it's nothing special. Like, you don't even remember that when you're done with the game, and even, like, Far Cry 3, I know a lot of people were really big on Voss, which I didn't really care for him, but I don't know. There's the storylines themselves, like, and the thing a lot of people point to in these games is it's usually like a mission. Like, you hear people talk about Far Cry 3. They're not talking about the story. They're talking about the mission where you go and you torch, like, this giant weed field with a flamethrower. That's the thing people talk about from Far Cry 3. Far Cry 4, the thing people reference the most is you going in and shooting up an opium facility. Like, it's just these, like, typically, like, drug-centered missions. Like, that's like the big thing people talk up alongside, the villains. So, like, yes, like, I think they can totally build a case for these like, this faction that you're going to be taking on in this game. But as far as, like, the execution, like, they've yet to stick it. So it would be incredible if they do, but I just don't have high hopes for it. So.
Boyce, do you think this is just a matter of Ubisoft saying, "Hey, look, let's tackle a subject matter that's obviously a big thing in the U.S. specifically," and maybe just trying to, like, with the selling of that trailer, saying, "Hey, look, we got a lot of stuff here that you guys are going to be able to relate to." Do you think they're using that more or less just for the sales, and maybe they're like, just to hell with the story? I mean, do you think that's a concern?
Yeah, it is a concern. Obviously Ubisoft is a French developer. So, it could be something where they are, and I'm sure that's part of it. I'm sure when they're coming up with this story, they're like, this is probably going to be controversial. It's going to get people talking about our game, and I'm sure they're okay with that. But I hope that they're doing this because they have a good story to tell, because they have something that they want to say, or they have some poignant observations that they want to share through their games. I think that could be really excellent. So I don't really know, but I hope that they're doing it for the right reasons. And they said they visited Montana, and that it really spoke to them in terms of a setting. So hopefully this all works in conjunction and they're able to put together a good game.
Hopefully. We'll see what happens. Some more Ubisoft news. First up, Assassin's Creed Origins has now been leaked via a T-shirt. We still don't have an official reveal, but we have another leak that this game exists via this picture of a T-shirt that you can see right here. And so how many ways has this game been leaked so far now, boys? Are we keeping track? Is it 5, 6?
42 now.
42
it's been
times?
leaked,
Awesome. Still no reveal.
Pretty much, I think this game is gonna have the record for like the most ways it's been revealed before it was actually revealed. So as we've been talking about this, there's been T-shirts, there's been pre-order cards, there's been screenshots, the insider information, like the works. Any kind of way you could leak a game, Assassin's Creed Origins has been leaked that way. So it's a pretty safe bet that this thing's real at this point.
Oh boy. And then also, Ubisoft has a new logo.
Sweet.
Yeah, there it is right there. Looks nice. Very cute. I'm not sure. Did they say why they changed this up, Ben? Any reason for this?
I didn't read why they changed it. I don't know if what was the thought behind it.
The only thing I remember was just them wanting to have like a more minimalist aesthetic to it. I don't know why, but
yeah, it looks like the old logo. It's just they took the color out of it, basically.
Right.
And it's just a black and white logo now. So I don't know. I'm not sure it looks any better than the old logo. So I don't know what the thought was behind it.
It's symbolic for Vivendi sucking the life out of them, probably.
It's a good call.
Man, Vivendi's making a move, dude.
Hopefully the Guillemets can fend them off, man. I'm not sure that Vivendi picking them up is the best thing for them or for gaming.
Man, a lot of good franchises might die if that happens. Let's move it along. Red Dead Redemption 2 has been delayed until spring 2018.
Damn.
I know. Here's a response from Rockstar from their blog. We are very sorry for any disappointment this delay causes, but we are firm believers in delivering a game only when it's ready. We are really excited to bring you more details about the game this summer. So they released some screenshots for the game. Looks beautiful, but this has been delayed until 2018. Did they even give a window, or is it just 2018? Spring 2018.
Spring 2018. So once again, we already have Far Cry 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 in Q1 of 2018. Who knows what else is going to hop into there?
Ugh.
So Q1 once again is probably going to shape up to be pretty beastly for gaming.
I'm not going to lie. I'm looking forward to Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm kind of glad it's out of this fall. I mean, honestly, I'm glad it's not in the midst of Destiny 2 and a couple other games.
Get out of Destiny's way.
Yeah, just
get out
move.
of the way.
So I'm not too bothered by this. Frankie, you look like you couldn't care less when this thing gets delayed till, so we'll come to you. Bender, I know you're not even a fan of Rockstar games, so we'll just move it along then. Up next, Square Enix news. First, Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake planned for the next 3 years or so. Quote.
Good grief.
Yes. Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda added that we plan to launch each of these upcoming games in the next 3 years or so. This time frame fits with what Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy VII Remake director Tetsuya Nomura expressed earlier this year, saying both games still have a way to go. On top of that, Nomura revealed this week that Square Enix is urgently recruiting people for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. And that's because this whole thing is shifted internally. The development has shifted internally. As reported by FF Reunion, during a recent Mobius Final Fantasy live stream, Hamaguchi, the project lead of Final Fantasy VII Remake, revealed that Square Enix has shifted its focus away from working with an external studio on the game. CyberConnect 2 was previously helping Square Enix with the development. Hamaguchi confirmed that while development was moving forward with the external cooperation, Square Enix has decided to shift to an internal setup including mass production and quality because we want to control everything, including quality and stable schedule. So I'm not sure what to make of this, boys. I mean, is this something CyberConnect did? Were they not? Do you think they weren't doing their part, or what's going on with this?
No, I don't know that they necessarily weren't doing their part. It's just that this is an extremely important game to not only Square but to the gaming world at large. So they have to get this right. So, I think they're probably just looking at this like, look, we really need to have this game in our control. Like this is Final Fantasy VII. This is one of the most beloved games of all time. So I think it's just a matter of them like really wanting to control the game and the messaging and to make sure that they get this 100% right. Like they want to make sure that their eyes and their ears and their hands are all over this game and not somebody else's. So I think that's really just what it comes down to, and I'm hoping that the 3 years thing is just kind of just a buffer, and that it doesn't take 3 years to get to these games. But I don't know. Sounds like they're ramping up production though for Final Fantasy VII. They're bringing it in house. They're hiring developers, so it sounds like they're at least like getting the ball rolling on this.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna jump over to a game that Frankie cares about dearly, the Hitman franchise. And it sounds like the franchise may still live on. Despite Square Enix's recent parting ways with Hitman developer IO Interactive, it looks like the stealth action franchise may continue on. According to an English transcript from the company's recent briefing with investors, Square Enix is negotiating with prospective external investors to continue the series. Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda addressed the franchise's potential future apart from IO, saying, because the firm is engaged in the development of Hitman and other renowned titles, we are negotiating with prospective and external investors capable of ensuring that these titles carry on. Frankie, who the hell's going to keep making Hitman games if IO isn't?
I don't know, but that kind of bums me out. As much as I love Hitman, like that's been IO's thing, so I don't know, man. Seeing somebody else tackle that series is kind of like looking at a Metal Gear without Kojima to me. So
we see how that's going.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know, man. That's rough.
Boys, any interest in a Hitman game that's not developed by IO Interactive?
I mean, potentially. It just depends on who steps in to take over, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's going to become of IO Interactive, but maybe we end up in one of these like gunfire game situations where a lot of the people that were formerly with the studio, now they've parted ways because of the split with Square, and they put together another studio and somehow end up developing the next Hitman game again in the future. Maybe something like that happens, but I don't know who would pick up the mantle or who would be good to pick it up. I'm trying to think like who makes good stealth games right now, and
Eidos Montreal.
Yeah, which also with Square. So,
Right.
yeah, so that's not gonna work. So outside of Square, I don't know like who's got the chops to pull off a really good stealth game, but it really just depends on who ends up working on it.
Right. Well, at least Hitman still got plans. The current version of Hitman still has plans through June. Actually, as of yesterday, we got a couple new pieces of content. We got 10 new featured contracts. The Asaya Attunement, an escalation contract that takes place in Bangkok. And then the Spaghiari Subversion, an escalation contract in Sapienza. And then arriving later this month, an elusive target number 25. This is a contract, a 10-day contract that takes place in Hokkaido. And then a June game update.
It's worth noting that this is being billed as the penultimate elusive target, so there's only going to be one more.
Oh, wow.
Which really sucks, because that's, to me, like, this is one of the selling points of this game was this whole concept of these. So
absolutely.
If we're not going to see any more of those past July, like, I don't know what you do at that point. This is the thing I was worried about coming into this game. Like, does it make sense at some point to maybe, like, just recycle them and put them back out there?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Because I mean, personally, for me, like, I missed out on the Gary Busey and Gary Cole stuff, and that was done as an elusive target. Like, I'm not going to be offended if they bring these back somehow as missions in the game, personally. I think that'd be cool, but like knowing that we're a month away from no more elusive targets in Hitman is it sucks.
I guess the question is there going to be any support for this game after this month? I feel like this just might be it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they might not even be looking at Hitman anymore after this.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's a damn shame, dude. That's a damn shame. And then the last bit of Square Enix news, Square has partnered with Bulletstorm developer People Can Fly for a new AAA game. The project will be an original title for consoles and PC, According to the announcement, no further details were revealed at this time, though Square Enix noted the game won't be a part of the company's E3 2017 lineup. This is what Square Enix's head of their London studios, Lee Singleton, had to say. "We're massively excited to be working with the talented people at PCF in Warsaw. We're building a game we all want to play, which will be the perfect addition to our portfolio." So we don't have much information about this. We're not going to see it at E3. This is obviously a game that's not going to be out for quite a while. So, but very cool to see People Can Fly. I'll be developing a game for Square Enix. Frankie, I know you were a fan of Bulletstorm. What's your thoughts on these guys working with Square, man?
I'm really excited. Square's, I feel they've been pretty consistent at putting out really great games. Obviously, Hitman, Deus Ex is awesome. Final Fantasy, of course. So I'm excited. I feel like they've gotten behind some really great projects. I think People Can Fly is an extremely talented development team. Big fan of Bulletstorm. I think Gearbox is still stupid for trying to charge $60. I can't imagine that thing's selling at that. So, but still, it's great. I'm glad to see that they're going to be making a new game. So I'm really excited to see what they're up to.
Absolutely. Boys, we also got a trailer for a new game from publisher Maximum Games. Yay, Frankie. And developer Iron Galaxy called Extinction. This trailer looked pretty sweet, man. What can you tell us about Extinction?
Yeah, I just thought the trailer looked really badass. This game kind of came out of nowhere. I didn't even realize that Iron Galaxy was working on a new title. Obviously, they've been in the trenches with Killer Instinct, but sounds like maybe they've been beefing up the staff. They've got a small team that's working to, support Killer Instinct. But but it's Extinction, third-person action game. Looks kind of like almost Attack on Titan-esque. You're like this lone soldier that's left in this city, and you've got these like giants that are attacking, and this guy just goes to work battling them, cutting off their arms, cutting their head off. I mean, it's pretty gruesome game. Looks incredible though. We got a brief snippet of the gameplay at the end of that trailer, and sounds like maybe we'll see some more at E3 possibly on the game in terms of the actual gameplay. But I'm really, really curious to see how the actual gameplay turns out. It looks like it has the potential to be, like a high octane, I don't want to say platinum type of game, but like one of those character action games. And it'll be cool if they can make one of those kind of games and add in these like battles with these giants and make those really feel unique and exciting. I'm really excited to see how this game turns out. I think it's got a lot of potential.
Frankie, what'd you think of that trailer, man? That looked pretty sweet, dude.
It does. Obviously the Maximum Games thing sucks, but I think Iron Galaxy, they themselves have a pretty good track record with me personally. Like I love Dive Kick. That's one of my favorite, fighting games. It's as stupid as it is. I love that game, but no, like I'm excited. I think this is one of Iron Galaxy's kind of first, their first kind of big IP that they're out there making themselves. That's not Killer Instinct, so I'm excited for him. I hope it pans out. I'm excited. That trailer looked pretty cool. It looks awesome, just going through and fighting these giant ass ogres. So I'm curious to see more. I hope that one really pans out. It should be cool. I hope.
Is this sorry, just real quick? Is this something that Adam Boyes is a part of, like getting this whole thing going? You think? What's his role there? What's his role there exactly?
I think he's the CEO.
Okay.
So he's. I know that he was kind of strategic. Like the whole leadership there is like Dave Lang is hilarious. I love that guy. But I think like they're friends. Like it's just like kind of a bunch of like getting your frat buddies together and making a game. Like that's what that whole thing seems like to me, and I think that's awesome. So I know like Adam's obviously in charge of all the business fronts, but Dave's kind of getting to do more of the making new IPs. Like that's the thing that he's been wanting to do. So I think like Adam Boyes is there, so he has a chance to get around to doing that. So that's awesome.
Very cool. Benner, did you get a chance to watch that trailer?
No, sorry.
I thought it might have been kind of a Benner joint until I seen the severed heads, and I was like, this might not be a Benner joint.
You see that? You see the splash screen of the blood, and you say,
I'm going to lean towards a no on this one. All right. Up next, EA has revealed a new Need for Speed. This one is called Need for Speed Payback. Ghost Games and EA have confirmed the 2017 installment of its Juggernaut racing series will be called Need for Speed Payback and will release on Xbox One, PS4, and PC on November 10th. Need for Speed Payback will be set in Fortune Valley, and players will drive and race as three separate characters united against the House, a local criminal cartel that rules the city's casinos, crooks, and cops. Ghosts is promising the deepest customization in the series to date, plus the ability to seek out and discover, come on, Frankie, you know you're hyped for this, and discover abandoned cars in the world to repair and tune. The driving will be both on and off-road, with events across the city as well as the mountains, through mountains, canyons, and desert. Players will be able to gamble on their performance in-game and multiply their winnings or risk losing the lot. This is what executive producer Marcus Nilsson had to say. Need for Speed returns this year to challenge what players expect from racing games. We're still delivering everything our fans love about the franchise, the deepest customization and impressive roster of cars, intense races, and open-world pursuit. But with Need for Speed Payback, we're bringing together all those elements in an all-new blockbuster driving experience. From the story, to the different characters you can drive as, to the varied missions, to the edge-of-your-seat moments, to our vision for what action driving entertainment means today. Franklin, your thoughts on Need for Speed Payback?
So the game that really shut me off to Need for Speed was Need for Speed The Run, which featured just the most... Look, there's no two ways about it. It was the most terrible racing game story I've ever experienced.
Oh, no.
You have all these quick time events in between races because it's so necessary. I think it ran on the...
Frost?
I'm struggling. Yeah, it was Frostbite. Frostbite racing game that... Oh God! So like that was a game that had like all these it had potential. It did. And going into it, like the story sounded cool. Like you're trying to race across America, and I don't even remember why, but that seemed like it would be cool. But like I just remember there was a track that had this really like steep hill you go down, and I shot off of it at like 200 miles an hour in the air, wrecked in the air. It was terrible. I have just horrid memories of that game, and that's what this is reminding me of. So I'm already out. I don't need a damn story in my racing game. I don't.
There you go. You heard it from Frankie Ailor. Boyce, any interest in Need for Speed Payback?
Yeah, and I'm also worried about the story part of the game. I'm with Frankie. I'm not sure that we need a story in our racing games.
Yeah.
But and this has the potential to go one of two ways. Like this could be a cool like Hollywood blockbuster, Fast and the Furious type of story, or it could just be just a cheesy, just complete, just garbage story that nobody wants anything to do with. And I would probably lean towards the latter. Like that seems like that's the route that this game would end up going. But I have very little experience with the Need for Speed franchise here and there, but every time I've played it, it's been fun, and I feel like it seems like at least that Ghost Games has been making some good games with this franchise recently. With I think they made Rivals and the last Need for Speed. Didn't they try to do a story with the last one as well?
Sure
or something
did.
like that. Yeah, so I don't know how that turned out, but yeah. So I don't know. I don't get the whole story thing, but hopefully that doesn't detract too much from the racing. But yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. This game could go either way. Just not sure.
I don't know. The big turnoff for me too is like the Need for Speeds I like Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted. You're out there, you're racing, you're not customizing your car, you're not trying to figure out like, oh well, I need to do this because we're gonna be off-road racing, so I need these tires. Like I don't want to think about any of that stuff. Like I just want to go out there, race, and have a good time doing it, not worry like, oh shit, I have the wrong tires on my car, so if we go off-road, I'm totally screwed. Like all that, I'm not interested in any of that crap. That's why I didn't care for the last Need for Speed they did. Rivals was alright, but just for me, like it's hard. Like Criterion set such a high bar with Most Wanted and Hot Pursuit that it just everything has just paled in comparison coming out of any other EA studio since.
I don't know, Bender. Do you ever look for a story in your racing games?
No, not so much.
Have you ever been into the Need for Speed games or no?
I think I've only played one or two of them.
Yeah.
They're fine as far as racing games go. That I don't have any complaints about them, but I just don't get into those too much.
Yeah. The only one I ever spent any considerable time with was Hot Pursuit. That's the only one I liked. Hot Pursuit. But no, the last thing I'm looking for is some kind of like patchwork story about crooked casinos and cops. I mean, it just just sounds like generic. It sounds like something that it sounds like Battlefield Hardline. God, that story was just ass. That thing had the potential early on, and then there's a certain plot point about a third of the way through, and you're just like, what the hell is this, dude? No. So, no, the story just, that's not what I'm picking up a Need for Speed game. I'm not looking for a narrative. I'm just looking for quick thrills and getting chased by cops. So, hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's got a good story. I mean, you never know. It might surprise us, but my expectations are going to be left low if I even pick it up. And last bit of news that we're going to touch on real quick. Publisher THQ Nordic has announced that the Japanese JRPG-inspired Kickstarter-funded game from Airship Syndicate, a new studio comprised of ex-Darksiders developers and creative director Joe Madureira, will be coming to the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC this October. We're talking about Battle Chasers. Now, this is a game I was really interested in because I saw it a while back on the Switch. I didn't realize this was coming to all other platforms. Mm-hmm. But this game looks sweet. What are you guys' thoughts on this? This comes out on October 3rd, both physically and on digital. I am really, really excited for this game. I think this game looks beautiful. Frankie, I want to start with you on this one, man.
Yeah, so and Boyce could probably, I don't know if you're familiar with the Battle Chasers comic book series or not.
I am.
I'm personally not. I know that they were like a Kickstarter when this was on Kickstarter. That was one of the tiers was you could get digital versions of the 10 issues. Is it 10?
It could be 10. I don't remember the number. It's been so long now.
Yeah. So like essentially like he's
it's a
Joe
series
Mad.
they never finished. They made some issues of it and that was it.
Yeah. So Joe Mad obviously came off of Vigil Games. Walked away from games after the whole THQ collapse. And his fans of this series have been clamoring like finish the damn story. So being a big fan of the old JRPGs on the SNES, I remember him specifically pulling out Final Fantasy. These are like the big inspirations that he has for this game coming in. So, this is that being like his drawing point of okay, we're gonna make a game that's gonna be like this, and just like that Kickstarter took off. I think that was funded like within the first day or two. Mm-hmm. They smashed a ton of their goals. Like this game actually, like I've been very excited about it strictly because of him and being involved with Vigil Games and. Kind of being like the other half of like that core team. Like I love the stuff that they make. So I'm excited for it strictly because of that. But like I started digging, like my FedEx driver at work, like he actually has the Battle Chasers comics and he's supposed to let me borrow them at some point because I want to read those. But like I'm just excited for that. Like this actually sounds really cool. Like the cinematics have looked pretty cool. The gameplay looks awesome.
Yeah, it does. Very
beautiful art style. I think this is also coming out on the Switch on October 3rd. Mm-hmm. So I'm bleeding towards picking it up on there just because like this is a game I don't want to worry about trophies while I'm playing. So probably gonna be grabbing it there. So I'm excited. Like that's my week off. So I'm not gonna be playing Shadow of War. I guess I'll play Battle Chasers.
Now Bender, this game I would say is a Bender joint. Did you get a chance to watch the trailer? And what's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, I did get a chance to see the trailer. It looks really cool. I really like the art style, as Frankie was saying. I think the animations look really, really pretty and really cool. The characters look interesting. I do like a good like turn-based RPG type of gameplay. So it does seem like a good fit for the Switch to just have something to play on the go and get into it when you have time. So yeah, it looks like a good game.
Ben, you think about adding this to your small Switch collection of games?
Does it come out after Destiny 2?
No.
Damn, just like that. Dead on arrival. Man,
I mean, if I got it, I wouldn't get it on the Switch. I would get it on the PS4. But look, I love Joe Mads. I mean, he's one of my all-time favorite artists in the comic book world. His Uncanny X-Men run is legendary. His Battle Chasers comics, they probably aren't the best story, but the art is really cool in them. I have the series over here somewhere. I'll have to dig it out and go back through it. And the game looks rad, but am I gonna play it? Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's a what is it? A strategy game? I'm not sure what kind of
like
game
turn-based,
it's a JRPG.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll see how the game turns out, but in reality, I'm probably not gonna play it.
Cool. Thanks for killing that segment. We're going to take a quick break. We've got some music here from Rual Ethan, and right after this, we're going to bring on David Jaffe. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Thanks again to Ruel Ethan for producing the music for this podcast. He does the opening, the closing, he does the music you just heard. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. Check out his music on SoundCloud and iTunes. Very talented young man. Up next, this is something we're very excited about. Frankie worked his ass off to make this happen. We were able to get David Jaffe, creative director of games such as God of War, Twisted Metal, and the recently released Drawn to Death. So without further ado, let's just get right to this. Our interview with David Jaffe. All right, gamers, we have a very special guest tonight for this podcast. Obviously, it's an E3 podcast, and we figure we bring on somebody who's very familiar with E3. David Jaffe, first of all, thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy schedule to talk to us for a few moments. We really appreciate it. Most will know you from your seminal work as a designer and director for Twisted Metal and God of War, but fewer may know you as the studio head behind the Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency. For those that are unfamiliar with some of your more recent work, can you give the listeners and viewers a brief history of your video game work following God of War and Twisted Metal? And what's the story behind that name, man? The Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency.
It's funny. So it kind of ties into your question. So I did God of War, and then I was the creative director at Sony Santa Monica for a handful of years. And in that time, that was sort of the beginnings of PlayStation Network, and so we did one of the first PlayStation Network games, which I did with the guys in Utah, Incognito Entertainment, and we did a game called Calling All Cars, and then we did a new Twisted Metal for PlayStation 3, and then the last thing that we did, which was the first game we've done as Bartlett Jones, is a game called Drawn to Death, which went live last month and is currently available on PlayStation Network. And so when I was at a company called Eat Sleep Play, which is where we did Twisted Metal PlayStation 3, and I wanted to start a company here in San Diego, which is where I'm from, and I didn't want to keep flying back and forth. And so Nick Conanellis, who also runs Bartlett Jones with me, we were in the Gas Lamp, which is kind of this historical, lots of bars and restaurants, and it's where they have Comic-Con every year. And we were in a restaurant, and we were talking about what we were doing. And we actually met Bartlett Jones, who, if you follow paranormal investigations and all that stuff, he's kind of been in the game. He's a very old guy now, but he was looking to sort of raise funds to do some of his stuff. Most of his stuff happens out of country, and he was also sort of looking to try to branch off into new media. So he actually funded not the pilot, what do you call it, kind of the prototype of Drawn to Death, which allowed us to get a deal with Sony. So we've kind of so he's got a handful of guys upstairs in the building, and they do their paranormal stuff, which we love. It's cool, and then we actually do video game stuff downstairs. So It's actually called that because that's what it is. People think it's like the old spaghetti factory or something. It's like, no, that's actually what the company does. We do two things. We don't do that stuff, but they do that stuff.
I like how you tied that into when you had that teaser trailer a while back before you announced the studio. You had that one creepy video. I mean, I remember we watched the video multiple times. I was like, man, okay, I don't know what this. And I was like, wait, that looks like David Jaffe. Is that Jaffe right there? Dude, that was a sweet teaser trailer. I absolutely love that.
It was fun, thanks. And it was. We just wanted to be wacky and weird. And I remember going up to the loft and I was just like shoving cake in my mouth. It was supposed to be all surreal. And I just dove in and had fun with it. And afterwards, I was in the bathroom for 30 minutes just trying to get all my hair, and it was just everywhere. And it was fun, though. It was a good time.
It was hilarious, man.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that name too. I think that's one of like the most awesome studio names out there. So that's a sweet story. I had no idea. That was the reason behind it. Cool. So David, you recently released Drawn to Death on the PS4, like you mentioned. For those that haven't played the game, just what's the quick elevator pitch for Drawn to Death, and more specifically, like where did the inspiration for the game's look and theme originate from?
Well, so Drawn to Death is a third-person online-only competitive shooter that kind of our goal is to sort of blend, sort of make a hybrid of a fighting game or brawler and a shooter, third-person shooter. And so there's a lot of mechanics when it comes to learning your individual characters and their pros and their cons and their abilities. But the whole thing conceptually is set inside a high school kid's notebook. So all of his doodles and drawings and sketches in his notebook, as he's kind of drifting off and not paying attention in class, this is sort of the world on paper sort of come to life. And so the visual style is very unique. It looks like a high school kid's drawings, and it's been a really polarizing game, both from tone and visual, because a lot of people sort of get that and like that, and a lot of people find it incredibly offensive and vulgar and childish. And but yeah, I mean that's sort of the gist of it. And it came from me wanting to do a stick. The original title of this game was Hyper-Violent Big-Headed Stick Figure Dodgeball, and it was basically I was not kidding. I was sketching a little dodgeball guy with a spiky dodgeball, and he was just drawing. And I can't draw very well, but I had these, the art of, or the pose of him just fucking nail this other stick figure with his dodgeball. And I figured, okay, that would be fun. And from there, it just kind of evolved. We said, let's do it as a shooter. And then as we did that, we said, let's not do it as a stick figure, because if you're in high school, you're probably not drawing stick figures. And we started doing research about the art style, and it's like, we could actually make something that looks more like what you'd actually see in a high school kid's notebook. And so it just kind of evolved over time.
Man, vulgar, offensive. That's why I like it. So
well, I like it too. It's actually all of those things, but it's also, we put a lot of effort into the story, even though it's a multiplayer only game. But in terms of sort of a lot of the menus and the voiceovers and all this stuff, and there's a lot of fiction in there, and it's more than just vulgar and sort of on the nose, but it was real disappointing, some of the critical reaction, because so many critics that I expected to sort of dig a little deeper as part of the job of being a professional critic, right. I assumed whether they liked it or not, I assumed that they would start to realize, okay, there is this very obvious surface version of Drawn to Death, but there's a lot more to the world, not just the gameplay, but to the world and the fiction and whatnot. And that was really disappointing, because I think it kind of goes down in history for a lot of players as sort of the on-the-nose version of what it is, which is it's sort of a very, Jay and Silent Bob, very vulgar, sort of immature presentation, which we love, but we also wanted to have a little bit more to it than that. And we didn't get as many people as we thought kind of picking up on that.
And that's strange, because Jay and Silent Bob, those are two characters that are very polarizing as well. There's a lot of people that are like, man, I can't stand this guy. But there's people that just absolutely love the humor, and they love the depth of the characters, where that humor kind of comes from. So, no, I totally get that, and it is what it is when it comes to that, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool that you touched on that, too. We were actually going to ask you about that, about some of the reception to the game. We fired up the game when it first came out, did a stream for it for the website, and we thought it was hilarious. I don't know. The in particular, like, I loved the tutorial frog, like just berating us throughout learning. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. I don't know.
I will. I mean, it has been. It's a cliche to say that you don't learn from successes, you learn from failures, but it's absolutely true in that. I think we look at, we're all very proud of Drawn to Death. We love that there's a group of fans out there that really connect with it and enjoy it. And that's the most important part. But I think, you definitely learn from, you go, wow, I mean, some of the response and reception that we got for this game was just, what an amazing opportunity to learn about all sorts of things. So even that point that you bring up, the tutorial and stuff, I mean, we actually got, and this is not just like an average dude off the street. This was professional critics for, I won't name the sites, but made some of the biggest fucking video game sites in the world, like massive, you know, and you would have, I mean, it stunned me that what was extracted from that experience of playing just the tutorial that you mentioned was a genuine sense of bother on the part of the reviewer because they felt the game was insulting them, and it was like it's a cartoon frog, and it doesn't really know you.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't know you on a personal level.
It's a pretend game, you know. It's not a documentary, you know, and so. It was like, and even beyond that, the whole game isn't that. That's a character in the game. It's a character who's meant to be abrasive and kind of an asshole. And if you actually, and still in a fun way, and if you actually play and explore the game, which again, one stupidly, naively on my part would expect a professional reviewer would actually spend more than, 30 minutes before rendering a verdict, would actually learn that frog is totally not that way. He's actually sort of part of this resistance against the hand who's drawing this notebook. Right. And he's looking for fighters to strike out and take revenge on this high school kid who's drawing this fucking book. But all they got was, this fucking game insulted me. I'm like, are you a child? Are you like 8 years old and you somehow managed to get a job reviewing for a professional video game website? You're insulted? Right. I mean, it blew. And again, I'm clearly still annoyed by it, but the bigger lesson being, it's like, holy shit. I mean, that must very well be the world in which we're in at this point, where people are really just, when a cartoon frog insults their game playing ability, even as a total joke, it turns them off. And I'm like, I guess, it's time for Gold Star for Everyone games. And it just blew my mind. It blew my mind. So, well, but anyway.
And I can understand because, for someone like myself or Ben, for example, we know your work. We know Twisted Metal. We know God of War. We understand the type of themes that you like to play with. And then when we seen the trailer for the game, we kind of had an idea what this game was going to be like. So for it to shock anybody, that's what's shocking to me. I mean, when I seen the trailer, I was like, okay, this is my kind of game. It's going to have some dirty humor, and it's going to be funny as hell. But apparently some people just take it the wrong way, and that's
ultimately the blame falls on us. I mean, I don't have a problem with someone like, I thought Polygon. I'll name them because they didn't give us the world's best review, but I still really liked their review, right? Because even though they gave us like a 5 out of 10, which is at best average, at worst, who looks at a 5 as average, right? But it was clearly the guy had played it and spent time with it, and definitely many hours before he was able to sit down and write his view and say, yeah, I didn't particularly like this, but I appreciated what it was trying to be. I was like, okay, that's a good bad review.
Right.
And I as a game creator, that's gold, because it's like, oh, what can we learn from this? How do we improve? Right. But so much of the reception from professionals was not that. And it was such an eye-opening experience for me of going, I kind of thought that there would be a little bit more what's the word, professionalism, applied to their craft, of like, I don't have to like this, but I'm not going to just sort of knee jerk and be emotional. I'm going to be a critic. And anyway, so what did we learn from that? What we learned from that was, you can't really depend on the vast majority of games journalists to actually be professional critics. And so, don't count on them discovering a nuance of your game and communicating it to the public, because a lot of them are going to spend 40 minutes with it and move on to the next thing and give you a clickbait title and give you a clickbait score, and they're on to the next thing. And again, that sounds bitter, and it is bitter, because it was a really disappointing pill to swallow. I had expected more as a voracious consumer of pop culture journalism.
Right.
Actually, I know exactly what review you're talking about, because I read it, and I sent the message to Brent. I was like, were we playing a different game? I was like, did I just completely miss the boat on this or what? So yeah, I understand what you're saying.
And I don't want to berate it, but it's on my mind because we're talking about it, obviously. So, which I guess is good that that's on my mind because it's what we're talking about. I'm thinking of something else. But yeah, there was one. I think the reason maybe now because everything, understandably, is so much about the aggregate and so much about Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes or whatever. Mm-hmm. That there was this one review we got that gave the game a 2 out of 10.
Uh-oh.
And not only did I go online later and see this journalist, quote in quotes, journalist, bragging on Twitter about the 2 out of 10, like, ha ha ha, I fucked those guys, which seems incredibly unprofessional, right? Wow. I mean, you've got teams of people with families and you've got Sony, you've got millions of dollars being spent, and you've got a guy, for whatever reason, who's employed by a certain publication that's able to sort of contribute to a narrative. Mm-hmm. But that person is in no way professional. If you read this guy's review, he talks about he really slaughtered the game because it wasn't. He was under the impression people thought that it was trying to be, and I'm trying to remember what he called it because he's like, oh, I studied this form of art in college. It's like absurdist art or whatever that's actually trying to make a statement. And I was just like, no, we're not. It's like you made some call. The reason you're fucking slaughtering our game and then that gets to go into the aggregate score over at Metacritic is simply because you and your dumbass took some college course X years ago, and now you want to sort of fly your fucking freak flag and say, look, I know about this kind of art, everybody, and in that I'm going to shit all over this game that never even fucking thought about being that at all. And I think it's really made me go, you kind of circle the wagons and you say, you know what, find your fans, find the people who dig what you do, mm-hmm. dig what the team does. And just, and I don't mean this like make a list like in fucking Happy Gilmore, like here's the journalist that I, but I do mean like, it's like, you know what, no, I'm going to talk to the people who, like that Polygon guy, I think his name is Owen Good. I will speak to him as long as he ever wants to speak to us because he did a good job. He didn't like our game, but he was professional about it and it was thorough. But this, mm-hmm. I sure as shit, I have a list of the journalists that if they ever want to do anything or talk to us, it's like, go fuck yourself, man. You're a fucking shyster. So anyway.
No, that's and the thing is, like, when it comes down to death, I mean, yeah, some of the humor might not, hit notes with everybody, but the gameplay is fun, and hopefully that is something that's getting figured into the reviews. It's not just, hey, look, this is vulgar and I don't like it, and that's it. I mean, don't forget the gameplay.
So many of these guys didn't even touch on that at all.
Yeah.
But it is what it. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we've licked our wounds. We've kind of, did a bunch of postmortems and soul searching and all that, but It was a hard punch to the gut. It was not fun, but you live, you learn, you move on to the next thing, and that's what we're doing.
One more thing on this, David. Now that we're talking about this, I just thought about this. But do you think that the critical, I don't know how to say it, but the critical landscape is shifting a little bit in gaming? Like, are professional reviews becoming, I don't want to say more and more irrelevant, but they're being taken into account less and less in this age of social media?
I mean,
do you feel that at all?
I think they're a part of the story, whereas in the past they used to be the only story, right? It used to be when a game was $60 and you had to go into GameStop to get it or Best Buy to get it. It was definitely the vast majority of it had to do with that rating. Now, obviously, a game can come out, grow over time, or have a social media success that isn't necessarily reflected in the Metacritic score. Excuse me. And those things, they can kind of cancel each other out, or they can support each other, or they can contrast each other. So I definitely think it's less important. And for us, we were always hoping for that one or two critics that would say, and there were a few that were able to say, okay, we think we know what this game's trying to be, and we really think it's cool. And to sort of give it, and we did get a few of those. We never got one or two of those from sort of some of the voices. I was always hoping, that Jim Sterling would do a review of the game, because out of all the people out there, I thought he would really get what we were trying to do. Right. And he did like a quick Let's Play, but he never actually sat down with it, really got into it, played it, gave it a review. But yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think it's the only story. It's a smaller piece of the puzzle than it used to be, which I'm grateful for. Because we've had a direct contact with our Drawn to Death fans, and even before we announced the game, we were doing periscopes in the office and lots of tweets and all that, and really just bringing people who were into what we were doing along for the ride. And so that's a big part of the story as well now, and social media and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, one more thing before we move on to the next question, David. I really hope you guys learn what you can from this stuff, but don't filter any of your future games, man. Keep putting it on the nose, like you said, and we'll keep buying them, dude.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I would say we are processing the lessons, and I think one of the lessons is, I think it's fair to say that one of the lessons is that, I don't know. I think you will see us filtering.
Oh, okay.
I think you will. I mean, I think if we're doing like a really low budget indie thing, which is very personal, we won't. But we do want to make hits, and we do want to have successes for the team.
Right.
And one of the lessons is it's like, look, a lot of people just you need to kind of go a little bit more vanilla. Look at the cat. Look at the cat.
Oh, damn, get out of here, Bella.
So, and that's not to say, our whole goal is to still make things that have personality and voice and heart and soul. But, I think we probably will dial it back so we can kind of cast the net wider. I just think that's the lesson we've learned.
Okay, that's fair enough, man. I dig that. Well, okay, next question. There have been quite a few updates to the game, Drawn to Death since launch, with new patches regularly arriving for the title.
We just did one today.
Yep, actually, I downloaded it today. What kind of updates can we expect from Drawn to Death in the future? Will we see some new characters added to the mix, maybe some new maps? Any talk of a single-player campaign maybe down the line?
Basically, we're kind of done. We with Drawn to Death. I mean, it will run hopefully for a very long time as sort of a product. You never know if we'll be able to go back and make more content for it. If suddenly it gets an uptick in users and fans.
Well, if anything, hopefully it turns into kind of a cult classic, because it really is a fun game to play. It runs great, it looks great, it's super fun. There's actually a lot of strategy to the characters and the different moves and how characters counter one another. So there's a lot of depth there, and hopefully some more people will check it out, because it is a really, really fun game.
Yeah, we agree, and we appreciate you saying that. Absolutely.
We're always curious to know more about the inner workings of the video game industry. What is it like releasing a game day and date as a free PlayStation Plus title? How was the experience as a designer and a developer? And is this something you would consider exploring again down the road in the future? Like, what all goes into that? You've got games with gold and you've got PlayStation Plus. What all goes into that decision?
I don't. Well, that first off, even if I could, because we're a developer, we're not Sony, so we made this game with Sony, and they funded it and all that and published it. So, it's really those are more of their stories to share. For us on the development side, we loved that opportunity came our way, because we knew we would have a great opportunity to get the game in front of lots of people. So when we heard it was a possibility, we were like, oh my God, this is the best thing that could happen for Drawn to Death. And so it was great. I mean, it was I've worked with Sony for all the games I've worked on, and it's always been a really great process and a really great experience. And so this was really no different. I mean, it was just a neat thing to know. I would love to see, more of this kind of stuff, whether it's just, more games for PlayStation Plus or early access stuff for users. I think giving players the ability to experience games that are not these AAA titles or haven't become these AAA titles yet, just to kind of start to get ideas of what's working and what's not working before you bet the farm financially on a game, I think is a really cool thing. And so whether it's PlayStation Plus or they eventually get into early access, which I don't know anything about, I'm just saying that would be cool. I love all of these sort of different, programs and methods to get people games on console that we've seen on PC for a while. Because it's just, there's anything you can do to kind of rise above the noise to get people to notice, because there's so many options for entertainment these days that every bit helps, and Plus was a wonderful opportunity for us in that way.
Cool.
Gotcha. Let's transition to the E3 now for a little bit, David. As you know, it's right around the corner. It's kind of like Christmas for gamers out there.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of.
It used to be. I was the very first one. I've been to almost all of the E3s, and it used to feel that way to me. And I think it doesn't so much anymore, honestly. Because there are other shows that happen throughout the year, whether it's PSX or whether it's, I mean, even just stuff like, Comic-Con or whenever they'll unveil games at other places. Mm-hmm. But it's also, and also stuff like, Nintendo doing their, what do they call their thing they do with video every month?
The Direct. Yeah.
Nintendo Direct, or when Blizzard has a new video about an update to Hearthstone or Overwatch. When I say it no longer feels like Christmas, it's not because I'm like cynical or anything. It's because so many of those, it's like you're getting your presents all year round from so many different venues. And you're able to directly connect with the people who make the games you love, right? So, like, I'm a huge Hearthstone nerd, and, like, when Ben Brode, who's the director of that game, puts a new video out about an update, I'm just like, oh, fuck, this is awesome. I'm so excited, But that all used to be packed into those 3 days in June, at the convention center in LA. And so that's when it felt like, oh, my God, I can't sleep a week before E3. Now it's kind of like E3 is the big games, the big trailers. Although Keighley gets a bunch of those at Christmas time now with his the Game Awards, right? So some of them are there as well. And when you go to E3 used to be like I remember the first 7 or 8 years of E3, you would walk the floor, and also obviously there's PAX as well, right? So, but you would walk the floor at E3, and it was like you didn't know what was around the next corner. You would see games that were the next big fucking thing, and you would see games that were like something you see in the indie booth at PAX, like 5 or 6 guys are making some small little quirky thing, and it wasn't leaked a week in advance or a month in advance on NeoGAF or wherever the fuck it's leaked. And so all of those things, I think, contributed to a much more exciting experience if you're really into video games. And then on top of it, the other thing I really can't stand about E3, although I'm glad they've opened it to the public, is it used to be almost everything was playable. So yeah, you had to deal with lines and crowds, but you could pretty much play anything you had heard about at E3. And now it's basically you go to E3 and it's like, hey, stand in line for 2 fucking hours to go inside a little booth. It's been really beautifully designed on the outside, like Mad Max, and it looks like a fucking rundown, poster. It's beautiful, beautiful design. It's like walking around Disneyland. And then you go inside and it's hot and you watch this video that probably is already up on YouTube, and if it's not, it'll be up within the next fucking hour. And so you're really going, what have you done? I've gone to LA, I've braved LA traffic to stand in line for hours, to pay tons of money for pizza and soda at the fucking, convention center, which is like $30 for a 12-inch pizza, just to watch videos after. I'm not trying to be a dick about it. The press conferences I still love. Obviously, those are really exciting. But the idea of actually walking the floor and going to E3, I think, is really like I have tickets for this year. I probably won't go because I'm just like, why? I'll just watch it on YouTube and I'll watch the press conferences and I'll be fine. So not to kind of like, dude, fuck you. This is our E3 preview show.
No, you're good, man.
But I'm just I am very excited for the press conferences. I'm excited for what news comes out of it. I'm just kind of more, the show itself is like, it's kind of a pain. Have you guys ever physically been?
No.
Yeah, so go and then you'll see what I mean. PAX lets you play a lot more, and there's a lot more variety. So
yeah. So in your opinion, are things like PAX or even seeing something like The Last of Us 2 being announced at PSX this past year, like are these now becoming like the preferred way to kind of unveil your game to the general public, you think?
If nothing changes, I always wanted E3 from the very first one, like Tokyo Game Show, to open up to the public. So I am thrilled that you can come to E3 now just as a fan. And that may or may not, hopefully in that, the publishers and the exhibitors will start to change what that experience is like, And if it changes, then I think it's a whole new ballgame. But if it doesn't change, then yeah, I much prefer shows like PAX, and PSX is a wonderful show. It's fan-focused, it's fan-centric. Or just being able to watch a Nintendo Direct or go to the PlayStation blog or watch a new update on Hearthstone every week from their site and go, this is a direct connection I have with people who are making this stuff that I love. And, we don't have to deal with all of this, circus stuff. And the circus atmosphere is wonderful if the circus itself is good. But E3 lately has basically become, the circus part of the crowds and the lines and the heat and the cost. But once you actually get into the circus, it's just a fucking video. And you're like, come on, I did all that circus shit. Give me a fucking elephant. I'm flying. But it's not. It's videos,
Right.
So, and it's even stuff like, I'm a huge PSVR fan, but even stuff like, oh, you want to play PSVR? Okay, get a ticket, and hopefully you'll get a ticket, and then with the ticket you can come wait in line to get a chance. I mean, it's too much waiting. It's just no thank you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, but it may change because PAX is great, PSX is great. Maybe E3 has said, look, if we're going to open this up for the fans, we have to put on a different kind of show now. And maybe, because I said we're not Sony, for all I know, Sony has been told by E3, it's like, hey, we're trying to make more of a player-centric show. And we'll see in a couple of weeks. And maybe, and Sony's always been the best booth out of all of them for continuing to let you play things. Like they've never kind of wavered from that, but so many other publishers have, especially the third parties. Like, it's so hard to get your hands on a controller and try the new stuff. Although EA's now doing EA Live, I think, right? Which is happening across from, and that's pretty cool. So I definitely think if E3 becomes more player-focused, it's a totally different ballgame, and that would be great.
More hands-on stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And not waiting in line to watch a video, and just the idea of being able to actually play and experience this stuff versus watching the trailer, which is wonderful. Trailers are great, but you can do that at home.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, based on your experience, do you or with E3 and with that whole show, do you think that this is a direction that they'll explore in the future, like either opening to the public or getting more hands-on?
I really don't have I don't have the connections or the insight. I can tell you that E3 started, as you guys probably know, as a mostly, not entirely, but mostly it was a trade show, I believe, that was put on for the retailers when there wasn't really digital distribution. So it was really about getting Toys R Us and Best Buy and Target and all these buyers to come out and see what each publisher had for Christmas. And they would use that experience to sort of determine orders of how many copies they wanted to order and how much they wanted to support the game. And the media would use it to actually communicate to the fans. Both of those things are kind of, at a huge magnitude, less and less and less important. Doesn't mean Best Buy and Target aren't important, but it's not like it used to be. And certainly digital distribution and online media and directly communicating with the fans if you're a publisher, you don't really need that great cover story on GamePro. Not that GamePro exists anymore, but you don't. That used to be a big part of it. Like, oh shit, we're gonna get the EGM cover and let's wine and dine these guys and show them the game, and who cares? It's So, point is though is when you say, do I think they'll start to do that sort of thing? If in their minds they're thinking, look, this is no longer really a retail show for people buying games. This is not really as much of a press show as it used to be. If they really do start to pivot and say, let's make the ultimate fan show for video games, I don't know if they could do it, given that Sony has PSX now and Nintendo has their own direct stuff. But if they can motivate the publishers to say this should be the epicenter every year for the ultimate video game fan show, then I think that could be really interesting. But I think they'd have to offer, in my opinion, I don't know anything, but if I was Sony, they'd have to say, well, what are you going to give to me to make me jump through those hoops that I can't do and have full control over with our own show, which is PSX, which I've been to all of those, and it's a wonderful show. It's a phenomenal show if you're a Sony fan.
Yeah. Well, on that note, what's it? We're curious. What's it like to be at one of these big press conferences and show off your game to the world for the first time? What's it take to put on a presentation of this magnitude? Something like your Twisted Metal reveal for PS3 a few years back, or even when you unveiled Drawn to Death at PSX.
It's a lot. I mean, it's it's a lot of prep work. I mean, depending on how big your announcement is, certainly with the Twisted Metal announcement, I mean, they had to build a fucking truck and, I mean, they had to work super hard to keep it secret. And I was lying to the press. And
I remember that too, dude. I remember that because you were like, I'm not going to E3 this year.
Yeah, it was really funny because, I mean, they were really keeping it secret. And so I was like, yeah, I'm not going this year. And then, that morning or the day before, we were rehearsing over at the Shrine Auditorium, and my wife at the time, she texts me a picture from a game website, and it's like, we've had a David Jaffe spotting at E3.
I remember that.
And I'm like, what? I was in the lobby buying a Diet Coke, and I'm like, oh my God. You know? So I was still like, no, that's not me. I'm not at E3. I'm fucking in San Diego right now. But you know, it was fun to do stuff like that for sure. Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, especially because you get to finally go up there and show what the team's been working on. And if you're proud of it, and I've had the fortune to be proud of pretty much everything you've ever made, it's exciting to kind of stand up there and say, hey, look at this cool thing that we're making, especially if the audience is receptive. It's a wonderful feeling. Absolutely. It's high.
Yeah, I always liken it to like when I got married. You know, I spent all this time prepping for the wedding itself, and then before you know it, everything is done right away. So I mean, that's got to be what it's like on stage. You spend all this time prepping, you do everything, and you only have like 5-10 minutes at the most.
It's not, because that kicks off, you know, what's even more fun, which is if you announce a title, especially if the reception is good. Then you get to go talk about it. You get to go do interviews, and you get to talk to the players about it. You get to stand there in the audience, not the audience, but at the show floor, and watch people playing and go, oh my God, they're getting it, or they're liking this, or oh shit, they're not, you know. So it really is, the announcement is really only the beginning of it, and then you've got like 3 days of, you know, a lot of interviews and promoting the game that you're always grateful for. So.
And speaking of promoting, I absolutely love the promotion where you got to have people dial in on the internet to shoot a gun at a car and just waste.
Yeah. I remain convinced that someone in legal had the day off when that was approved. It's like, you're gonna let people shoot a real machine, and then we're gonna blow up okay, I'm all for it, you know. And I know this because we did a live broadcast for those 2 days. It was me and this Navy SEAL for some reason. He was a super nice guy, but for some reason they thought pairing me with a Navy SEAL as my on-camera partner made sense. Go figure. And and we were like just fucking around on camera and said, okay, we're gonna anybody who can look around the environment, because we didn't say where we were, and determine where we are and send us a pizza, we'll send you a PlayStation 3 for free. And we just made that up on the spot. I'm like, I don't care. I'll buy you a PlayStation. It's fun. And immediately legal's on my cell phone. You can't fucking do that. What if someone comes in with a gun? And I'm like, okay, that's freaking you out, but you guys let us shoot on the internet a fucking machine gun? All right. So that's why I'm convinced that somebody was out sick the day this. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was very cool. They let us do it. It was a cool promotion.
Hell yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Awesome. David, you're also in a unique position because you developed like big time AAA titles, God of War, Twisted Metal, that kind of stuff. You've also done like the more bite-sized experience, like you mentioned, Calling All Cars, which is a sweet game, by the way. It was my first PSN game that I ever got. So what's it like to be a AAA developer at E3 or one of these bigger shows, as opposed to a smaller developer? Do you prefer one over the other now, or are they just different?
I mean, they're very different, because if you're there as a AAA developer, it means that the publisher that's brought you, in our case Sony, you know, really is into your title. They're going to spend a lot of money promoting it, and you know, so that's always cool and that's always fun and everything. I will tell you though that, you know, the thing. There were a number of things that contributed to me personally for saying I'd like to kind of no longer do big AAA video games. Mm-hmm. And one of them was seeing at E3, I think it was Dead Space 2. There was a guy from Vicarious on stage demoing this game, which I thought was a wonderful game, wonderful demo. And I remember seeing it and watching the audience reaction, and watching my reaction was, oh my God, that's so cool. That's so fucking cool. But having been in that exact same position 2 years prior with God of War, if I remember the dates correctly, that was a big moment for me where I realized it's like, you know, man, so much of what the audience is responding to is spectacle and graphics and special effects, all of which are important and wonderful and beautiful. But if I were to stand up on stage and give that exact Dead Space 2 presentation, or that exact presentation of God of War, 4 years after, it would go over like a lead balloon, because you're not really, and that's when because ultimately it's like showing beautiful special effects show reels, and that's wonderful, and people love that. But for me as a game developer, I was like, I don't want to just work on something that's not going to travel through time, and that in 5 years people will look at and say, oh, that's bargain bin. But today it's the next big fucking thing, because what you're really responding to is sort of the beautiful graphics and visuals, which are wonderful. But that was a very kind of eye-opening moment for me personally, being at that E3 and saying, I don't want to continue working on things that really have a shelf life that are entirely dictated by how good they look based on where the bar currently is. And I would rather work on things that maybe they're smaller and maybe the audiences are not as big, but if you play it in 5 years, it's still fun. If you play it in 10 years, it's clunky and it's antiquated, but it's still at its core fun. And that was, so in some ways, yeah, being at a show as a AAA developer is different, because you get more of the limelight, you get more of the attention and all of that. But for me, it was really eye-opening, because it made me realize that the cost of getting that limelight wasn't necessarily an amazing game. It was just visual. And that's important if you're really an aficionado of video game graphics. Right. But that's not why I play games. And so it kind of was a good moment for me to realize I wanted to transition to more gameplay-centric stuff.
Gotcha.
So one more thing on E3, David. Do you have any favorite memories or any like cool E3 stories that you might be able to share with us?
I don't know. I mean, obviously the Twisted Metal thing was great, but that's obvious. I will probably, go into the first E3 and seeing Twisted Metal, the first Twisted Metal, and we had an ice cream truck there as well, actually. Didn't look as cool. We didn't spend as much money, because we were making it through a company called Sony ImageSoft before they got sort of folded into Sony PlayStation. But that was pretty amazing, because that was the first game I worked on where I actually got to see people out in the wild playing our game. And that was pretty cool. I remember that. I remember, it all blends together. I mean, it was fun watching people play. It was fun watching people play God of War for the first time, and having the team there and all of us kind of going, holy shit, people are actually enjoying this. Because until you go to E3, you just didn't know if people were going to connect with it or not. It's just like I said, there was a time when it was a very, like, if you were a gamer, it was like you said, it was like Christmas. It was like, holy cow, what are these amazing surprises? And I remember I would walk around. Day one, you would just go and just like, oh, you're overwhelmed, and it's just like fucking, oh my God. And then you'd go home to your computer and make sure you made a list. It was like a Christmas list of all the games you need to make sure that you get to play and see and study, because you're going to, you want to take that into your work and go, oh, this is how these guys. I remember I was running around in a very early Lord of the Rings game, because I was playing all the Melee games on the floor. And this is when we were just starting God of War development, because I was trying to figure out how they had stopped the player from just running through the map. Because that was always a challenge for us. It's like, well, what do we do to keep the player from saying, I'm just going to run past this combat scenario because I don't want to fucking fight right now. And we needed you to fight because that was part of the gameplay. And I remember picking up the controller and just running through the Lord of the Rings game, and the developer's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you killing those guys? And I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to see how you guys figured out how to stop me from doing this. And he's like, oh, we haven't thought about that. And I'm like, yeah, it's hard, huh? We don't know how to solve it either. So that was cool. Yeah, it was cool. It was just, there's lots of memories like that. It was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Tobin, what's your favorite E3 memory? Tobin's worked with me since Twisted Metal 2, so he worked on God of War, Drawn to Death. Quickly, Tobin. Do you like E3?
I like E3. It's always overwhelming, and these days there's a lot of, stand in line for 3 million years to just see one game. So it's taking a lot of away at it. But
okay. Let me ask Doge. Doge is younger, so Tobin and I are the same age. How many E3s have you been to?
One.
Which one, last year?
2 years ago.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
Okay. Do you like PAX or PSX better?
I haven't been to PAX.
Okay.
I actually really liked PSX, probably because the lines weren't as long.
Right.
But I haven't been to the conference at E3. Like I haven't.
The press conference.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm looking forward to this year. So that's the core.
So yeah, but I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a fun show. It used to be a fun show. It may still be. We'll find out.
Cool. You probably get to ask this all the time, but what are your thoughts on the new direction they seem to be taking with God of War? You know, they being Sony Santa Monica. Obviously, you handled it when it was more Greek mythology. Now it seems to be going into a Norse setting. What's your thoughts on the direction they're taking God of War?
Well, I mean, there's two directions, right? There's the story direction, and then there's the actual gameplay direction. So I was over at Santa Monica last year, and I got to play a little bit of it, and I thought it was great. The combat was great. I think it would be hard to make to not evolve God of War in some direction, and I think this is a very a good direction to evolve it. I had always wanted to see it become more Zelda-like, and I think it's moving in that way. Whether it sort of goes full Breath of the Wild, I don't think it's meant to be that open of a game. Right. But I thought the combat I played was a lot of fun. It looks beautiful. And so I'm excited about that. I think Corey's always got some really cool ideas, lots of cool ideas. Story-wise, we had planned on God of War becoming, delving into Norse and Norse and Egyptian mythology from the very beginning. We were going to set that up, or we started to set that up in Game 2, and we were going to start to pay it off in Game 3, and then just, Corey left, I left, different people came in and out and stuff. So I'm glad that I don't think they're getting to it in the same way that my story that I was working on was going to get to it, but I'm very glad to see. I mean, they have to evolve it. I think, I still love Greek mythology, but it's like, do you really want to fucking fight a Cyclops again? So I think it's a smart move, and people seem excited, and it's one of the things I'm most looking forward to if I do go to the show and getting some more hands-on with it.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and with God of War 3, they pretty much, it's like, where do you go with Greek mythology after that, right? They just went like pretty epic with that one. So I'm really curious to see where they go with the Norse angle.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're also curious your thoughts on this new kind of iterative console model that we're seeing, David, with like the PS4 Pro and the Project Scorpio. Is this something you're excited about as a developer?
I'm excited about anything that gets more people to play games, and I'm excited at least with the PS Pro that they haven't really split the base. Like I haven't bought a PS Pro yet, and I'm glad I don't have to yet, right? So anything I buy now will still work on either system. Right. And obviously there are games that will, I'll probably pick one up when God of War comes out because it'll probably be like, oh, that's a great reason to have it because it'll look a little better. As long as they don't split the base, I think why not? I know Scorpio is splitting that's a new console, right? I mean, you'll probably be able to play your Xbox One games on it, I imagine, but you're not going to be able to play like Scorpio games on Xbox One, are you?
It remains to be seen until they officially unveil it, but Microsoft's kind of their messaging has been that this is a part of their Xbox One family and it's going to play all the same games and do the same stuff. So it sounds
like it's like just like PS4 in that structure, which I think is fine then. So I think the real issue becomes when they start making decisions that split the base, and they basically at that point it's a new console, and I think that would seem a little dangerous to me. Unless you're just going to say no, we're ready to move on from PS4 to PS5 or Xbox One to whatever the new one's called, then I think it's fine. But if you're actually just sort of changing the guts a little bit to get more power and kind of starting to confuse the audience. And I haven't seen anyone do that yet. It doesn't sound like they're going to do that. They certainly didn't do that with Sony. Sure, why not? I mean, I haven't felt a lack of quality in my gaming on PS4 because I haven't upgraded to a Pro. And I think that's all I care about.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's all anyone really wants. They want to be able to say, hey, look, if I have a PS4, I'm not getting shafted at anything if I don't have a PS4 Pro. And that's definitely what we hope to see from the Scorpio as well. People who have an Xbox One S, I'm still enjoying this game. Scorpio players get the 4K and whatnot. But, as long as I'm still enjoying the base game, that's all anyone really wants.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So speaking of which, any particular games you're digging right now? I know you mentioned you're a big fan of PSVR. I mean, is there any games in particular that you've been playing?
Well, the last PSVR game I spent a lot of time with is a game called Fated, which is a weird but wonderful game. It's a Norse mythology game. It is more of it's like a 2-hour, hour-and-a-half experience. I think it was like $12 or something. And the first part of it is just fucking bone dry. It's kind of boring. but I loved the sense of presence and place that it gave you. But then as it starts to pick up and they start to introduce like frost giants and they start to introduce like Indiana Jones style traps, and you're going through these kind of, tombs that are based on Norse mythology, but it's just, I hate the fact that VR, whether it's PSVR, Oculus, or Vive, is still this thing that people are just not willing at a large amount to just embrace, because it is just so, like when I was playing last week, this is a very short game. And again, this game I'm saying, if any of your listeners are like, I'm going to go out and buy Faded. I mean, it's a casual, because it is a game, it's not casual thematically, but it's not a game. Like it's hardcore or anything. It's just more like an experience, like almost like a bit more action than your average walking simulator, right? But it's the sense of presence and the sense of place in that game, Resident Evil 7, which I played all in PSVR. It's just, I find it hard to believe that someone has played Resident Evil in PSVR or Faded or Farpoint and says, it's a fucking gimmick. It's like, dude, fuck you. It is not. It may not be successful. It may never be successful because it requires too many this, that, and the other. But you fucking put that on and you put some headphones on, and I get it. That's asking a lot for someone's gaming setup. But to act as if it's like, it's like fucking 3D TV. It's like, dude, then you haven't played it.
No. Because
it's transformative. It transports you into that world. And I'm not much for hyperbole with games. I'm sitting here right now telling you I've walked away from AAA games because all the graphics and stuff, they don't change the experience for me. But when I have the headset on and I'm in this fucking Viking tomb and I'm looking up at the wall and I feel like I'm literally there, and I can reach out and almost touch the wall, and I just sense a scale of being in this massive cave. I'm like, I can't get that anywhere else in any other medium. And I hope for the best for VR, because it's such a wonderful experience when you have the right game. Even like I played all Resident Evil in VR, and I was like going, because I'm always disappointed in haunted houses at Halloween. Like I'll go to all of them, I'll take my kids, but they're never that creative or whatever. And I was going through Resident Evil and I was like, I'm just playing this every Halloween because this is better than any fucking haunted house down the street that I can pay $20 to walk through. This is like I'm in this world, and it's just wonderful. Well, so I just finished up Faded. I'm starting. I haven't even loaded it yet. I got it from Steam. The guys at work are talking about. Is it Dead Cell? Is that the game?
Dead Cells, yeah. I've been watching that game too.
Yeah, so I got that this weekend. I haven't started it yet, but I'm excited about that. I'm still playing Hearthstone. I'm playing. What the fuck's that other thing I'm playing on PC? I played a little PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds here at the office, and I thought it was really fascinating. But it's too disappointing for me because it's like I get in there and I get so immersed and I get so into it, and then maybe 20 minutes in I'm dead. And I can't muster up the desire to have that disappointment again. It's like but it's wonderful. I mean, I get why it's successful. It's just so. But I'm dabbling right now. There's nothing right now. The last thing that really caught me for a while was Breath of the Wild.
Right. Have you tried Farpoint yet?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that game with the one aim controller.
Yeah, well, and the thing is, we can't. So we had Scott Roddy over here a couple of weeks ago, or last week actually, and he's like, we're telling him it's sold out everywhere. He's like, yeah, too bad. I'm like, fuck, because Mike Riccio, our lead programmer, our CTO, he's the only one in the office that could find a gun, and so like I'm not going to buy it and play it without the gun. But Sony's like, dude, we're out of them. They're sold out all over, and so I think it's amazing.
It's an incredible experience with the aim controller, man. My gosh. I mean, like you said, just being in that world, on that planet.
Why do you think there's so much animosity towards this peripheral by players?
I can't help it if wonder it's just because I wonder if it's the messaging hasn't been delivered quite well to sell it enough to people. I mean, the only way you can really sell this thing is to play it.
I know.
Everyone posts videos. I mean, I posted a video of a boss battle in Farpoint, and it's It looks cool in the video, but I keep telling myself this does no justice to the experience of when you have the headset on, you're holding the controller, you're in this world. You can't do that through messaging. You can't do that through videos. You have to try it.
But what I wish the response would be on the part of a lot of players would be, oh, I hear you. I guess if I'm interested, I should go out of my way to check this out or just not say anything. But instead, it's an immediate, like, this is fucking stupid. It's fucking gimmick. Fuck this shit. I'm like, what? Did you hear what he just said? It's like, you may be right. You may not like it. But to say that when the whole point of what we're telling you is it doesn't do it justice, you have to try it. And then if you want to say that, fine, right? But the thing that's bugged me, and it probably just bugs me overall about internet culture these days, is it's just so fucking negative that it's just like, fuck this is bullshit. I'm just like, dude, you're missing out on something that's so fucking cool if you're really into games. And that's cool, but to act as if you are planting a flag in the ground and making a educated statement about VR, bullshit. Utter bullshit. So
I think you're right. I think there is a negative issue on especially social media that people just say they say something and then it just goes around like, oh, this is crap. But do you think it has anything to do with maybe just we're still waiting for some big AAA games? People are waiting for. I mean, obviously Resident Evil 7 is no joke. That's awesome in VR. But I mean, do you think they're waiting for like the more streamlined, like the Call of Duties, the Battlefields, some of those big games to kind of get people hyped? I mean, everyone seems to think, oh, it's just experiences right now.
It is experiences. Why would you? I mean, that's what there's. I mean, why would I want to play Call of Duty in VR? It would make me vomit.
Right.
I mean, Sonny, one of our programmers, hooked up Drawn to Death in Oculus. This was before PSVR came out. You don't want to fucking play a fast game like that in VR. It'll make you throw up. But it is experiences. So fucking what? I mean, not every experience has gone home. It can be an experience like the Star Wars X-Wing game or Batman, which is insane. You played Batman, right? I mean, the last scene in the Batman VR game is amazing. And you're in Arkham and shit. So it is experiences. But
I think people, when they hear experiences, they don't, like you said, it's just that miscommunication. They don't understand the experience. People say it's just experiences, but the experience is freaking incredible. Right.
Don't you want that? Don't you, I mean, it's insane, but yeah, maybe it is. Maybe it's marketing and communication, but I hope it continues to do well enough that they keep supporting it, not just from a Sony standpoint, but just as an industry, because I think it is just... And I don't know if you've tried room-based VR, which is the Oculus, not the Oculus, the Vive. Oh my god, dude!
Is it really that good?
We have it. Yeah, well, it's amazing. It's the holodeck. I mean, we have it in the next room, and you don't have to just stare at towards the camera. You've got the camera mounted on two walls, and you're literally walking around this space. And I played this one that was like a little gnomes in the forest and shit. And it was amazing that I could like get down on my knees and lay on my stomach and start looking under bushes and shrubs and shit. And I'm like, if fuck you if you're a gamer. You're like, ooh, VR. It's like, fuck you, man. This is kind of the coolest shit that's happening in games right now. And it's okay if you don't like it, but if you're not even willing to put a fucking pinky fucking toe into the waters of VR, but you still want to hold court and act as if your opinion means shit, fuck you, because this stuff is cool, man. It's
super cool. I'm with you on that, dude.
Yeah, definitely. Last question from us here, David. What's the and I don't know how much you can answer this, but what's the future look like for the Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency? Obviously, you alluded to what's going on with Drawn to Death there. Are there any like specific genres you guys would want to tackle in the future? Maybe any other platforms you might want to develop for?
We love all the platforms, and we have relationships with all the publishers and all the platform holders. But I mean, as long as Sony will have us, we would love to keep working with Sony. We're currently working on something right now, and we can't talk about it. But we're looking for what our next thing is. So that's all I can say at the moment, though. But yeah, it's what can I say? It's useless for anybody listening, but it's applying a lot of the right lessons we think from Drawn to Death, as well as other games we've worked on, and we'll see how it goes. But so far, we're having a lot of fun trying to figure out the specifics of it, and who knows? Hopefully, we'll announce something in the medium future.
Cool.
Well, let's see. He said he's not going to E3, so I guess we can expect a picture of you buying a Diet Coke somewhere in the next couple.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I'm on to you. I'm on to you.
Yeah, we're announcing a new Twisted Metal. That's exactly right.
Well, David, we can't thank you enough for taking the time. I know this ran a little longer than we promised
Yeah, no,
you,
it's
but
fun chatting games with you guys. I appreciate it.
we had an absolute blast. We appreciate your time, and we wish you guys the best of luck. We're looking forward to what you guys do, and like I said, I really hope Drawn to Death becomes kind of a cult classic and more people pick up on it over time, because it really is a fun game.
Cool. Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, David, take care, man.
All right, bye, you guys.
And welcome back. Big time thank you to David Jaffe for taking the time out of his busy schedule to sit down with us. The guy's a blast. I mean, he's really approachable. I mean, he's obviously a very big personality, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little nervous, but he's just very cool to talk to, as you guys and girls could hear right there. Boys, wasn't he just cool as hell to talk to, man?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it before we sat down with him, but we were like, man, I'm kind of nervous to talk to Jaffe. Like, this is a guy who's like made some of our favorite games over the years, like Twisted Metal, like God of War. Like these are games that we've grown up with, and yeah, so the nerves quickly faded, and like you said, he's just a cool dude to talk to. And that's one of the things I've always respected about Jaffe is he's always willing to interact with the fan bases and with his fans and his detractors as well. Like he doesn't back down from anything. So if you want to talk to Jaffe, like he's readily available and he'll sit down and talk with you. So like you said, just a big thank you to him. It was an honor and a privilege to get a chance to talk to him on the show. So just thanks to him and everybody over there.
Yeah, and props to you, Frankie, for setting it up. What did you think of that interview, dude?
It's awesome. I'm like I said, I'm jealous. I wasn't, I had to be at work and couldn't be there, but that was awesome. Again, like thank you, David. Thank you, everyone over there who helped make this thing happen. Like this has been, it's been in the works for a little while now. So really cool to finally see this thing come not only come to, but do we talk to David Jaffe?
We did.
Short pause. Talk to David Jaffe, dude.
Dude. He's cool as hell, man. He's a real nice guy. Bender, what'd you think of that interview with David Jaffe, man?
It was a really good interview, you guys. You guys did a great job. He seemed like a cool guy. Definitely had some good insights into game development and stuff like that. And it was a really cool interview to listen to.
And that's a good point you just made. I mean, that's why we try to get these guys on, because obviously we're just gamers. We're not journalists. We're not developers. We're just gamers that like to talk games. And when you get somebody on like David Jaffe, or how we had Richard Wood on a couple months back, you get these people on that have been in the business, that have been in the industry for many, many years. They're able to provide you with information, insight, stuff that you wouldn't really know about, the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And that's the stuff I find really interesting about gaming, is when you learn about the things that go on behind the scenes. I just think that's invaluable, and it helps give you a better perspective on games. It's not just about graphics and gameplay. There's a lot of stuff that goes into these games, and being able to hear from a developer, somebody as established and as accomplished as David Jaffe, is just, it's invaluable. And like you guys mentioned, it was just an awesome interview. And from all of us to everyone at the Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency, David Jaffe and Q Sincock, who helped set this up, thank you guys very, very much. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on our podcast. It's a very humbling experience. All right. The moment you've been waiting for. The 2017 E3 predictions. The year that Frankie loses his belt to one of us. Frankie, you're not winning this year. I've already paid Bender. The fix is in. You're not getting it this year.
It's coming back home. I'm getting fitted this weekend for my crown.
Not if SOCOM Remastered gets announced. Woo!
Boy, the year that finally gets announced, man, I sure hope you get a point.
Damn it! But yeah, so we're going to do our E3 predictions right now. Bender, how does this typically work?
Well, we each choose 5 plus a couple of extras. We choose 5 predictions. We choose a couple of extras just in case there's some duplicates. We'll have to remove the ones that we that somebody else had got before us. So yeah, we try to be bold, choose the best predictions we can think of, and we kind of score ourselves on which ones we get right. And so next time we get together, we'll go over the scoring and see who was able to predict the most correct answers.
I can tell you, if Frankie's not on next week's show, we already know where he finished. So
Celebrating
All right,
in Disney World. That's where I'll be.
oh, he's going to be at Disney World. Okay. All right, man. He's already talking shit. All right. Well, since you are the reigning champion, Frankie, we're going to let Ben go first.
All right. So, my first prediction. All right.
Ooh, here we go.
With the exception of Gran Turismo Sport, none of Sony's first or second party exclusive titles will get release dates for this year.
Whoa.
So, God of War, Spider-Man, Detroit, Days Gone, like any of these games that are first or second party exclusive, none of them will get release dates for this year outside of Gran Turismo Sport. And my reasoning behind this is that Sony doesn't have to release any of those games this year. Like, they have all of these big time partnerships lined up with Battlefront and with Destiny and with Call of Duty. The third parties are going to carry their system through the holiday season, and Gran Turismo is going to be a big game when that comes out, and I feel like that's a this year game. But God of War, I feel like that's a 2018 title. There's a lot of games for 2018 if that's the case, with Days Gone and with Detroit and some of these other games. But I just feel like I just don't see any of those games coming out this year. So that's
Just a quick clarification, Ben. Are you saying that we will not hear any release dates for those games, or none of them will be released this year?
We won't hear release dates because we won't know if they actually hit those release dates during E3. So my prediction is, while we'll probably get release dates for some of these games, none of them will be for this year outside of Gran Turismo Sport.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting. All right, so last year's champion was Frankie Ailor. Congratulations. Bender, you're up next.
Okay. Guess I'll grab this one before anyone else does.
You dirty dog, Bender.
I'm gonna predict that Nintendo is going to announce a Smash Brothers Switch port. It's gonna be, the Wii U and or 3DS title with all the DLC, everything. It's gonna, it's probably gonna be called Smash Brothers Deluxe or whatever. But it's gonna be released this year. I'm gonna say it's gonna be released this year. Smash Brothers on Switch.
Way to reach for that low-hanging fruit, Bender.
Hey, man,
Going for the easy points.
do what I can.
Going for the easy points early and often. I dig it.
Yeah, dude, that apple just fell off the tree, and he was right there to pick it up and
Right in
bite
his lap.
into it. Yeah.
Jeez. All right. So last year, I don't think I scored a point, right?
That's
You got like
correct.
half a
I believe-
point.
You
I
got
think.
like half a point.
Oh,
I
I got
a
think,
half a
if
point?
I remember right.
And
What
Frankie
did he
just,
get? What did he get half a point for?
I don't even remember.
Oh,
Probably
man, I don't
release date.
remember.
He said E3 begins with an E or something.
Oh, jeez. I'm just going to go next. So, let's see. What am I going to go with first here? I'm going to go for a double point. I'm going to go for mine's a 2-point or a 2-part prediction here. Xbox Scorpio will come in at $399, and it'll include a membership of some sort for Xbox Game Pass. That'll be like a kicker for it. It's a membership of Xbox Game Pass. I'm not going to get specific with the months, but I am going to say they're going to throw in a membership of Xbox Game Pass. $399. I think they're going to go. I think they're going to swing for the fence with this. I think even if they take a hit, it's Microsoft. A hit to Microsoft is a hit. Isn't a hit. So I just I feel like they're going to come in at $399 with this thing, man. I really do. Confident, very confident with that pick.
Congratulations.
All right, up next, boys. No, I'm just joking. Franklin, last year's champion. Pick number 1, please.
All right. I'm going bold this year. I'm not retaining my crown. If I do, I'm going to be really surprised.
Oh wow!
All right. So this is a 2-parter. Sucker Punch will announce their new game. It's going to be a Black Panther game.
Ooh. Wow, he's going specific.
Wow.
I
Black
feel like
Panther.
that's the fit. Like they love comic book games. Black Panther's coming out next year. I don't think there have been a Black Panther game, but if any developer could pull off a Black Panther game, it's Sucker Punch.
I can't disagree with you on that one.
Dude, if they
That's
make
bold.
if they make a Black Panther game, you're gonna see me doing cartwheels on that stream. I don't know how I'm gonna do a cartwheel in my computer chair, but I'm gonna figure out a way.
Dude, that'd be sweet. I'd like to see a Black Panther game. That'd be pretty rad.
Boy, would Sony secure 2 exclusive Marvel games?
That's crazy if they do. That's
Could be possible. I mean, they're working together now, so movies
Yeah.
and video games.
Black Panther. Good pick, Franklin. All right, Mr. Boyce, pick number 2.
All right, Brent, I'm gonna roll off your Scorpio with my own Scorpio pick because I think you're crazy for saying $3.99.
thank you.
I don't think there's any way.
Oh boy.
We're gonna see Xbox Scorpio, of course. We're gonna see the box, and there's no way that this thing is any less than $4.99.
Really?
$4.99 is the absolute rock bottom price that this thing will come out at, and it honestly could be higher. But Scorpio will be shown, and its price will be no less than $499 US. I mean, I understand Microsoft could take a loss, but what's the point? Like, that's not what they cut Scalebound. They've cut a lot of these games because it wasn't making them money. So I don't see them going out and pushing a system out to the masses that doesn't make them any money. So with the components that are in this thing, even $4.99 could be a stretch. So but that's the absolute like rock bottom price for that thing.
I think too, like Brent mentioned, like them maybe being willing to sell at a loss. I still think maybe $4.99 would be them, maybe even going in at a loss.
It could be. It could be.
That's true. It's very true. This thing's it's a beast of a system, man. So it'll be. I think. Would you guys agree that that's probably the biggest interest right now going into E3? That's the one thing that everyone really wants to know: the price of the Scorpio. I mean, would you say that's arguably probably the thing people most want to hear from E3?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure. I think even more so than the price. Like, people want to know, like, either what they're going to be playing on this thing or what it can do exactly. So, there's just a lot of unanswered questions in terms of the lineup for Microsoft. So I gotta think that that's even at the forefront of people's minds even before the price of the Scorpio, because they got to figure out if they even want the thing before they care about the price. So like, they got to know what they're going to play on it. Yeah. And I feel like they had to have seen what happened to Sony when they came out with a $599 machine, and I just don't think that they can go that high. So I just feel like for the machine that they're trying to put out, like $500 is the sweet spot for that thing, and it could even be more.
Okay, got that one down. Bender, your second pick, please.
Okay. This is a 3-pronged one.
Oh,
and
my.
I actually just added the third prong just now. So, Nintendo are going to be talking about Virtual Console. That's the trunk of the tree. The first branch is GameCube Virtual Console games are going to be a thing. Part 2 is those games are going to be announced at $30 each.
Ooh.
Part 3 is Mario Sunshine is going to be one of the first ones available in anticipation of Mario Odyssey. They're going to have Mario Sunshine be one of the first GameCube Virtual Console games. And I'll tell you my reasoning on the $30 thing that I just thought of. It's because if they're charging $20 for Nintendo 64 games, leads to reason that they would charge more for GameCube games for Virtual Console. So my guess would be $30.
I thought N64 games are $10. Because I remember paying $10 for Donkey Kong.
Okay, $20 for GameCube games.
Wait, I know Wii games are $20.
I'm gonna laugh if they come out at 30. I really hope they come out at 30 now, just because Bender's changing his to 20.
Right?
Right.
Wii games are $20, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're
Pikmin
right.
or whatever, like those games have come out at $20. $30 is a lot for a GameCube.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It is. No, that's because I was remembering wrong. I thought the N64 games were 20. Frankie's right. They're 10. So yeah, I'm changing that to 20. I'll
20.
say 20 for GameCube games as well.
I think 20 is a safe bet. That seems like a Nintendo price for that.
You know what's going to be awesome is I'm just going to edit all that out, and all I'm going to leave in is where Bender says 30, so that's the official. So when people watch this, they're like, oh, he said 30. He said 30. But he's like, no, I said 20. I'm like, well, it's not on the video, so I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
Just put the rest as the outtake.
All right, so there's Bender's second pick. My second pick is going to be Media Molecule will rebrand Dreams as a AAA PS VR title.
You.
Sorry.
That's a good one, dude. That's a really good one.
That's where I'm going to go with that one because we haven't heard a thing from them since then, and they had a hard time really demonstrating what that game could be. And I just feel like, and we talked about this before. I know Frankie mentioned it too on a previous show way back when, but it just feels like this is a VR game. This would be a perfect VR game, and you're creating these incredible worlds, these just out of this world type of setups, and I think that's just something where you have to be there to really appreciate what they're trying to deliver in this game. This game's about dreams, and dreams is about being in these weird spaces, and that the best way to implement that is through VR.
Could see that happening.
That's a good pick. Yeah.
That's a damn fine pick.
Thanks, Frankie. What's your next pick?
All right, so this is going to be another PlayStation pick. Sony's big and available right now release is going to be Hellblade.
Hellblade. Okay. Wow, that's a good one there.
Supposed to be out this summer, so
I forgot Hellblade is this year. Would they be so bold?
That'd be that'd be sweet if they did do that though, because we haven't heard much about that since they announced it was coming out this year. All right, I can get behind that one. All right, Mr. Boyce, number 3.
All right, I'm going. Pokemon Stars is real. It's going to be announced for the Switch. It's going to come this year, sometime this fall. And my reasoning behind this is, like, this is the point where they appeal to the 3DS crowd, and they're like, look, you guys have to get a Switch. Like, this is the game that's going to push the handheld crowd into the Switch. Like, I don't know how many of the handheld faithful right now feel like they need a Switch as their new handheld system. But if they come out with Pokemon Stars and they're like, it's exclusive to the Switch, which I don't know if it will be, but even if they just market it on the Switch and they get 3DS owners really thinking about upgrading their handheld to the Switch, I feel like that's the move that they need to make, and this is pretty much the year for them to do that. Sun and Moon already came out, so let's tap into that. Let's bring out Pokemon Stars, put it out this fall, and tap into that handheld crowd for this holiday season.
Nice pick. I think it'd be a smart move if they did. They definitely got to get that out, and this year would be really nice. You get that, and you get Super Mario Odyssey. As long as they meet the demand with the damn system, they have enough out there to, to really push those two games. That could do very, very well.
Yeah.
Nice pick. I like that. Bender, number 3, brother.
Okay. I guess all mine are Nintendo related.
Shocking.
It's
going all in on that Tuesday show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw this one out there because I don't know. I don't have enough backups. New Metroid game on Switch, starring Samus. Real Metroid game.
Okay, so you want a real Metro game with Samus. We're not talking any other garbage. Just
no Federation Force, no
Federation.
Whatever.
Is it be a Metroid Prime or just a Metroid?
Question, is this Retro's game?
I don't want to go that far because I don't know.
Bender, you're there.
I would love
go.
for it
Just
to
go
be...
down that hole, man.
Okay, fine. New Metroid game developed by Retro, it's in the vein of Metroid Prime. Boom.
Wow. There you go.
I like it. Just pulling the arrow out of the quill, just letting it go. Bullseye.
Man, that precision. I like it, Bender. You're getting ballsy.
Dude, I feel like we have to see Retro's game this year, right? How long have they been toiling away on this game now? 3 or 4 years?
Something like that.
It's time for them to show us the goods, right?
I want to see what they're working on.
Hopefully it's Metro with Samus and invaded Metroid Prime.
Yeah.
So
It's like, is Nintendo going to show us that they give a damn about Metroid? Like, is that going to happen?
I think one of us has predicted a Metroid game every year.
Yeah. It
doesn't hurt.
It's the running joke, like the SOCOM prediction.
Yeah.
We've mentioned Metroid every year. We're just going to will it into existence.
What a segue.
It'll happen, damn it. Oh, not yet. I'm going to save that one for later, just in case.
That's the grand finale.
That's the drum roll.
Yeah.
Let's see. My third pick will be trying to think which one. I'm going to go with this. I'm going to say Blue Point Games is remastering the Resistance games.
God damn it.
Shouldn't have sent me that list, Frankie. Sorry, buddy. I told you I wouldn't tell anyone else. I didn't say I'd copy them all. Blue Point Games is remastering the Resistance games, even though I'm concerned it's going to be a different franchise, but I'm going to stick with Resistance just because I would really like to see that. But Frankie, I think you'd probably have a better chance if you just changed the game and still stuck with that. If it's the game I'm thinking it's going to be, but it is what it is. I'm going to go up Blue Point Games is remastering Resistance.
I forgot all about that story, man.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot all about the Blue Point remastering story. They said it was a Sony franchise, didn't they?
No, they said it was just a franchise that would appeal to the masses. It's just 7 of their last 9 have been Sony games.
Ah, okay. Right on. Appeal to the masses?
Mm-hmm. That's where my concern is with the pick. I'm going with Resistance just because 7 of the last 9 have been Sony franchises. I'm going to say Resistance, but masses is, I can't help but wonder if that's a tease. But Franklin, your third pick, please.
All right. Bethesda will announce Evil Within 2.
Okay. All right. I like that one. That's a safe pick. I think that's a good point right there.
I think that's a good bet. Yeah.
That's a good bet right there. That's a nice pick. I like that. Mr. Boyce, your fourth pick, please.
We've talked about this a little bit on the podcast. I've hinted towards this, but Splinter Cell. We are going to get the unveiling of the next Splinter Cell game. I have a suspicion it'll be Ubisoft's like one more game, but it could also show up at the Microsoft conference as a showpiece for the Scorpio. So either way, we're going to see the new Splinter Cell game in action at the C3. It will be announced.
God, I hope so. I really hope so because, man, Blacklist was so damn good. It was so damn good. It's a good pick, man. I like that one. Bender, your fourth pick, please.
Okay. I'm going to predict that Nintendo is also going to be announcing a new Animal Crossing game for the Switch. We know that they are going to be releasing an Animal Crossing mobile game, and they said that it's going to work with some sort of console Animal Crossing game as well. I don't think they're going to make it work with the 3DS game because I guess they could, but I think they're going to do a new Animal Crossing game on Switch.
Now, when you say new one, Bender, does this preclude them from like bringing over like New Leaf Deluxe or something like that and putting it on the Switch? What do you think?
I don't think they'd do that. I think they would come up with a whole new one, original to Switch. Because I don't know. I don't think they've ever done any sort of porting or anything. They if they do a new Animal Crossing game, it's something new with. Even if it doesn't have a ton of new features, it's going to be a different game. So that's what I would think. So anyway.
And they could set up something like they did with Fire Emblem, where they have an Animal Crossing Direct in the near future here, where they show off the new mobile game alongside whatever they have planned for the Switch or whatever as well.
Yeah, my luck, they'll probably announce it before E3, and then it won't count for my point.
Yeah, let's go, Nintendo.
All right. So this is number 4, right?
4.
All right. This is going to be a two-parter. Star Wars Battlefront 2 will feature a new VR mission similar to the X-Wing one that we got last year, but this will be a first-person one, and it will make use of the aim controller that released with Farpoint.
Ooh.
I like that. I like that a lot. That
So,
sounds awesome.
Yeah,
That's
let's
when
hope that's
we
a
go.
reality. That
Because
sounds sweet.
the X-Wing mission was fantastic. I mean, they really had, you could tell they had a good feel with the VR. They knew how to get it to work. And I just can't say enough how well the PlayStation aim controller works. That thing is fantastic in Farpoint. And if there's any other game that I think would be awesome, it would be awesome in Star Wars Battlefront. And I could see them trying to figure out a way to use that controller with its 1-to-1 precision and taking another stab at VR.
What type of mission would you like to see them tackle, do you think?
Honestly, I would like to, I know they had that co-op mode in Battlefront, the first one. I would love to see them do what they did in Farpoint. There's 2-player co-op, and have the co-op mode be available in VR.
Be badass.
I like
Yes,
it.
sir. Thanks, man. Frankie, number 4.
All right, going Microsoft this time around. Shadow of the Tomb Raider will be revealed at the Xbox event.
Is this going to be timed exclusive again?
No,
Nope.
I don't think so. I'm not adding that to my thing, though. I'm just saying I don't think it will be. I'm not confident enough because it could be, but I don't think so.
Gotcha. Okay, that's a good pick. I want to see that game, too. I'd be excited to see that come out soon. Mr. Boyce, your 5th and final pick, sir.
Trying to think which direction I want to go here.
You could use some low-hanging fruit.
Man.
This is the crunch time, man. Look at he's thinking
Remember,
about this.
you can't predict Assassin's Creed Origins or Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah, I crossed off number 12, which was Mario Rabbids and Assassin's Creed Origins will be unveiled.
It was a 2-parter.
Yeah, that was my two-parter.
Your bold 2-part
Yeah,
prediction.
my bold 2-parter. It's like, do I want to go with this Nintendo one or do I want to go with this Sony one?
Go with the Rocksteady one.
Ooh, there you go.
I don't have anything Rocksteady. I'm not confident they're going to show anything yet. All right. From Software's next exclusive partnership game with Sony is going to be revealed. It will not be Bloodborne 2.
Okay. Playing it sort of safe on that. I would have liked to have seen Bloodborne 2 and get a two-pointer on that one, but...
Well, I said it will not be Bloodborne 2. So if it is Bloodborne 2, I'm...
Oh, yeah, sure we are. All right, well, fair enough. Mr. Holt, your 5th and final pick, sir.
All right. Well, because I didn't come up with enough backups, I'm going to have to do a Hail Mary play.
Oh, my.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Frankie already kind of took up one of my backups because one of the ones I had on my list was we'll see the new Sucker Punch game, and it will not be Infamous related. So that's pretty much the same thing. It's too similar to Frankie's. Okay, so
Look, Bender. I took your Crash last year. Okay.
No, that's fine. I don't really think this is going to happen, which is kind of the opposite of a prediction. But I'm going to say that Sony is going to come up with a successor for the Vita.
Ooh, he went there.
Ooh.
He went there.
Well, I was waiting for somebody to go there. I mean, there's been rumors of it.
It's been lightly rumored lately, and I'm like, why not? It'd be awesome if it happens. I don't think it will, but it'd be great if it did. I would be down for that, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and take that one.
I was too scared to go with that one. I wasn't bold enough.
Bender's bold, man.
Bender pulled it out there.
I probably would have come up with anything else if I could think of anything else, but it's whatever. It should be like 50 points if it comes true.
Just an automatic win.
Yeah, dude, you might get the automatic crown if that thing becomes true. We might just convene and just give it to you by default.
The fact that we've only gotten like a patent shot of something in the last year and this thing not get leaked at all, I would just be blown away if that thing actually got announced. All right, let's see.
Just SOCOM. Just say SOCOM.
Now look, it's on there. I have it on the list, but I think I'm actually gonna drop it from the list this year because I'm hoping that by dropping it from the list, it'll get announced. And it'll be the best loss ever. So no, I'm not gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with okay. I'm gonna go. This is my last one. Sony will finally roll PlayStation Now into PlayStation Plus. I think this is going to happen. I think there's more likely this happens than SOCOM Remastered. I'm going to say
think you're
Sony will
probably
finally.
right.
I'm going to say Sony will finally announce that they're going to roll PlayStation Now into PlayStation Plus.
Be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
So that's my final pick. And now, the reigning champion.
Man,
Your final pick.
Ooh.
Not that it's
two.
going to matter this year.
it really doesn't at this point. I have two that are both long shots.
Hey man,
Well-
those are worth the point. Those are worth the big points.
Yeah, but the one's like a severely. I don't know, man.
I love when we get to the final pick and it's painful for everyone. It's like, shit, which one do I
Yeah.
go with?
I know
Which
you guys
one's
took
it
all
gonna
my
be?
other picks too. So. All right, so this is going to be an extremely complicated one.
Oh boy.
So release dates. Everyone loves
Oh
release
my
dates,
God.
right?
He's going with
I'm
this
doing.
one.
I'm gonna do
Oh,
it.
you're going for the epic release date pick?
We're doing
Bender,
it.
you got your pen ready, dude?
Yeah, gonna have to do a lot of typing here.
I'll send you the screenshot if you want it, so you can just reference it.
There you
All right,
go.
so Spider-Man, God of War, and Dreams are all going to come out Q1 of 2018. Mario Odyssey and Days Gone are going to release in October this year. Detroit is going to sneak out in December this year. And Crackdown 3 is going to launch alongside the Scorpio.
Wow.
You
That
better text
is-
me that.
I'll do that.
Wow. That's I don't even know how you would score that one. I mean, if he gets every one of those right, I will gladly hand over the 7 points. I'll just be like, here, dude, you earned that one. Like
Yeah.
like Boyce mentioned, just go to the wire ad, just run over and get a lottery. Oh, the Powerball was tonight, dude.
Oh,
Man.
Hey, the Powerball will be back next week, so
Yes,
we'll,
it will.
we'll take you over there.
And if I have anything to say about it, it won't be $300 million, and I'll be done working for the rest of my life. So there you have it. There are the picks, the predictions for E3 2017. Now, obviously there's our picks, but our buddy, our pal JD from the Play and Listen Gaming podcast, he decided to send us over his 5 picks. So, JD, here are his picks. Number 1, Microsoft will announce a brand new third-person IP. Doesn't go into the genre, but they will announce a new third-person IP. Brand
Real
new.
bold. Real bold, JD.
Bold as hell. This next one is, again, a little gray area. The Scorpio will be priced between $399 and $449. So I guess that's Scorpio.
So
will
basically,
be,
he's saying it's either going to be $400 or $450.
there you go. Yep. Up next, number 3. Nintendo will announce the Virtual Console as a service, as well as an individual games, i.e. Game Pass or Netflix.
That
So-
kind of already happened.
Yeah, but this will be for the Virtual Console. It'll be a separate one from the free games that we get when you sign up. This is going to be something separate.
Judge Bender already said no, so
Oh, well, snap. Sorry, JD. I'm at the mercy of Bender. He's a savage. His 4th pick, and probably my favorite, and I think it's probably going to his one definite win on this list, is number 4. Frankie will lose his E3 crown this year. Great pick, JD. Great pick.
That is a good one.
That's it.
Best one I've heard yet.
That's a lock.
JD.
That's a lock for this year. And lastly, this one's kind of bold. We will see a gameplay trailer or teaser for Cyberpunk 2077.
Nope.
I would lean towards a teaser. Like, I mean, can you really tease a game that's already been
That's
announced?
already been teased.
No, he said. I'm sorry. He said a gameplay trailer. So this is gameplay. We've seen like a trailer, like CGI, but this is he's talking gameplay.
No. Maybe next year, JD.
Maybe next year. Well, JD, as you can see, Bender has written down your predictions. I really hope you get number 4 right. Don't care about the other ones. I'm going to beat you too. So that's our buddy from JD, JD from the Play and Listen Gaming Podcast. Make sure you check him out. He's on SoundCloud, iTunes. You can also check him out on YouTube. It's Play and Listen Gaming. Follow him on Twitter, Play and Listen. And JD, he's just he's terrible at Halo 5, but I love that he kicks out the videos all day.
Yeah, he's
Awesome.
been doing, I think, almost daily Halo streams. So if you want to watch someone just get bagged in Halo,
Yeah.
subscribe to him on
Check him
Twitch or
out.
YouTube. It's a great time.
You learn a lot how not to play Halo 5. You can learn a lot watching JD play. It's really good stuff.
It's true. He's kind of a master at headshots. He's that person I hate playing against. That ruins the game for me.
He's ruthless. He's nasty. But I do like the music he plays during his streams. Real good stuff. All right. So those were our predictions. That was JD's prediction as well. Make sure you tune into the podcast next week when we break down our scores, we break down the predictions, and see who is the new champion. There won't be a repeat. It's going to be a new champion.
It's not next week.
Oh, I'm sorry. The following week. You're right. The week after E3, we'll be back with our prediction scores. One last thing we have to do before we close up the show. We have an email. Our friend Herman has written into the podcast this week. He's got some questions on Destiny 2 and E3. Here's Herman's email. On the podcast last week, and you guys talked about Destiny 2 clans and wanting to figure out how to filter out the people who want to ruin the other gamers' experience. I believe it was Brent that mentioned that if developers could make it where it will show that what each Guardian has done in the game. I want to take it a step further, he says. It might not be the perfect solution, and I doubt they will implement this, but what if they allowed private and public clans? That way, if it was set to private, you could look at a player's stats and the clan leader and can determine whether or not to let that particular Guardian in and also kick them out if they end up not being a team player or lied about what they have or have not done. What's your guys' thoughts on that, man? Going private and public clans? Bender, I'm going to let you go with this one first, man.
That's an interesting idea. I like it. Gives you a little bit more options as to what you want to do and whether or not you want to be locatable in the guided games. Excuse me, the guided games list or whatever that they have. Because I'm sure there are going to be people who already have their clan and don't want to be in there to, you know. But I guess I don't know. I guess if you're not actively searching, I mean, if you're not actively searching for a group member, you probably won't show up in there anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea. I could see them doing something like that, maybe.
I would like to see them just. I want them to give me as much information as they can about the player that's trying to join our raid. That's what I want. I want details on that. I want to be able to look at their profile, see how much of the raid they've completed, what parts they've done, because usually the raid is broken down into sections. There's no reason they shouldn't be able to show you which sections they have completed and how many times. I want those kind of specifics. I mean, as far as putting a rating system in to find out who's, kind of a jerk or who's not, I think that's kind of subject to some BS. I mean, people might just rate somebody low just to rate them low. I don't like those kind of things in games because they're never 100% accurate, and I think they can be misleading. So something like that I won't like that. But I definitely do want to see stats from people. And maybe, it's so hard to score people and rate people, like I said, online. I would love to see that, but there's just too many variables that could go, swing it one way or the other. But, Boyce, what's your response to his email so far? The Destiny 2 part.
Yeah, so what he's saying, so what he's saying is that you could choose to make your clan public or private, and that would determine whether or not you can be found in the guided games. Is that what he's getting at here?
That's my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a pretty good idea, and hopefully they'll give clans that option if they don't want people like finding them or jumping into their game or sending them requests or whatever. I think that's a good idea. But I also think, like you said, Brent, like the real solution to this is to give us more information about the player that's trying to join. They have all of that information in the Destiny app, even in so much as what part of the raid you're on currently for that week. So I don't think it would be too much of a stretch to implement some of that data into the game so you could see either where a person's at, how far they've gotten, and then you can just simply, like you said, put a little check mark there if they've actually completed the raid. I feel like that would help out a lot because, like we talked about on the last show, the raids are a special part of Destiny, and when you first get in there, you really want to get in there with a crew who hasn't done it before, and you guys want to figure stuff out together. Like, that's the whole fun of the raid. So, yeah, hopefully they are able to implement some of that. But I do think Herman's point about the public and private clans is also a good idea that they should probably look into as well.
Frankie, any thoughts on the email?
No, I actually kind of like that idea. I think it would be cool to have like the option to have your clan as private, just to kind of avoid, a lot of the stuff we've run into. As far as the scoring system, like the thing that I would personally be looking at are like the people who get reported for like how they are. Like if someone's in a lobby acting like a 12-year-old Call of Duty kid, if I'm like seeing consistent reports of like, abrasive language and that kind of stuff, I don't really want that person in our raid party. So like that's one of the things I would want to look out for and kind of have a chance to see. So I think like some aspect of like player scoring would actually be kind of cool to see for people wanting to join.
Yeah, I just, if they implement that they have to be very careful about it. Like I said, I just don't want anybody just to go in there and start, ranking me down as like a 12-year-old in a lobby just because they didn't like the way I played or because maybe I bitched about somebody not being a team player. I mean, there's just so many variables that could come into play where people are just like, I'm just going to be a dick and vote this guy down. So,
and kind of in line with Frankie's point is, they've always had like a reporting system for people who are rude or unfriendly or unhelpful. I wonder if they could only include that data as far as the ones that have been substantiated, because I'm sure whenever they get those reports, they look at the data or the video or whatever, and kind of substantiate whether it's legitimate or not to kind of. And if they get too many legitimate complaints against a player, they'll probably ban them. I could see if they could kind of include that data for those legitimate complaints that have been lodged against this person to show up, in their listing when they're looking for games, so you could know whether or not you want to have them be a part of your team.
Yeah, I can't help but wonder if they could get really deep into the specifics. I mean, they could look at, hey, look, this guy has been, how many people in that lobby actually voted down on them? Like, say if you got 6 people in the raid, and maybe if one person just votes down on them, they could look at them and be like, well, just one guy said he was a jerk. Why didn't everyone else? But if they see 4 or 5 people rated him down, then I guess that would substantiate a little bit more, make it a little bit more specific, and then. They could go around and look at that clan specifically, those 5 people. How often are they rating people down? Are they doing it all the time? All of a sudden that loses some value because they're obviously just doing it to be jerks. But if you see they're being very selective about it, that could give them some credence. So I guess there is a lot of specific details they could look at to kind of implement that system so it's fair.
Yeah, a system like that could have kept us from ever hiring furry bunions to help us.
An infamous Destiny player if there ever was one. And then Herman's second part of the question, actually we've already addressed it, but I'll read it anyways. Also, with E3 coming up, I wanted to know what you guys are looking forward to seeing and any predictions you may have. Well, Herman, you already heard the predictions, so we answered your question. Yeah, just go back and you'll hear the rest of it. So, Herman, thanks a lot for writing in. We really appreciate it. Always good to hear from you. And you, too, can write into the podcast at shortpause.com. Send us your E3 predictions, things you're looking forward to, anything you want to write about, questions, suggestions, comments. We definitely want to hear from you. So, as you know, next week is E3. There will not be a podcast next week. However, we will have plenty of coverage on the site and on our YouTube channel. We will be live streaming the press conference with all of us watching it. So we'll be there live, not there live at E3, but we'll have the stream on our channel, and we'll have our video and our mics turned on. We'll talk about the stream as it's happening, and then we'll do a quick recap afterwards, things that we saw, things we liked, things we didn't like, things that blew us away, things that shocked us. So we'll have a small recap. We'll be doing that for every press conference except EA. EA, we will have a live blog on the site. And like I said, you can come to the website. We'll have an E3 page with all the links to all the videos. When we go live, we'll have the times and everything there. But the EA one will be a little bit different than the rest. It'll simply just be a live blog. We'll have the press conference there. And then there'll be a reaction video later Saturday night. But starting on Sunday, we will have the live stream of the press conference with us right there. talking about it as it's happening, and then a small recap shortly after to kind of break down the press conference, things that we took away from it. And then obviously the following week, we'll have our E3 recap podcast where we'll really dive into these press conferences, talk about the things that we saw and our thoughts on each and every press conference. So we have a lot of coverage planned for you. We do this every year. It's a very hectic time of year, but we absolutely love it. And we want to get you involved more. So make sure you tune into those streams. They'll be on every one of our channels. We'll have the stream on YouTube, Twitch, and Beam. So whatever, or Mixer. Sorry, this is Mixer now. So we'll be on Mixer, YouTube, and Twitch. And we'll have the live chat right there on the page. So if you want to talk about it as we're watching, you'll be able to do that, and we'll be able to respond to you and talk to you as well. So lots of cool stuff. E3 is always a blast. It's always it just wears us out big time. But I'm looking forward to it. I know you guys are too.
Probably be a little different this year, though, because everything's so spread out. So,
yes, thank God.
Really, we're only going to have to tackle a couple press conferences each day. So it's going to be a lot different than some of these years where it's been Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, Sony, back to back. So everything's all spread out over 4 days now.
And shout out to Bethesda for making us stay up till midnight. Awesome.
I was gonna be up anyways.
And brutal. So, make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. We'll tweet out all the links for E3. Visit the website. We'll have a page up later this week. And we'll be ready to go. We're really excited to bring you the coverage of E3 and all of our thoughts on it. Gentlemen, that's it for this week's show. That's it for this massive podcast. Special thanks again to David Jaffe for taking the time out of his schedule to join us for this podcast. It was a thrilling experience. It was great, and we really, really appreciate you taking the time to be here, man. Thank you so much. Gentlemen, where can we find you gaming and tweeting? Mr. Boyce.
As always, Brent, I'll be not tweeting at Piccolo930, and that's my PSN handle as well, and that's where you can find me on the Nintendo Switch. Friendly reminder, you can still catch the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight every Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern, on our YouTube channel live. So make sure you subscribe there and check out all the wonderful little games that we play on there each and every week.
Every week. We're always streaming stuff. To the recently engaged Frankie Ailor.
Ooh.
You can find me on Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, Nintendo Network, at Viperstrike, VYPRSTRYKE.
My man. Bender.
I'm on Twitter at Bender_guitar. You can find me on PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network at me_Bender, and on Xbox Live at meBender82.
Thank you, sir. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979, Xbox Live, TheRealDude79, and the PlayStation Network and Nintendo Network, TheDude79. Make sure you visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Follow the website on Twitter at @TheShortPause. As Ben said, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming, or you can find us on Twitch, Short Pause Live, and Mixer, The Short Pause. So you can find us on all those channels. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably listening to it on either SoundCloud, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play,
TuneIn Radio.
Oh, man, there's so many of them. So you can listen to them all there, or you can watch it right here on YouTube. If you enjoyed this podcast, if you really, really like it, really, really like it, go over to iTunes, give us a nice 5-star rating, write down a nice lengthy review saying why you like the show. If you don't like the show, if you think it's shit, that's fine. Come over to the website, go right into the comments, let us know why you don't like the show. We want to try to make it better for you. We take your feedback, your suggestions to heart. It's the only way the show's going to get better is if we hear from you. Or you can email us, podcast@shortpause.com. For Mr. Holt, Mr. Ailor, and Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thank you again for listening and watching the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We will talk to you next week for all of our E3 coverage. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye-bye.